their original Nicaraguan pure, I think it was. It was just the McAuliffe Nicaraguan. They're from their original line. Those were delicious.
Yeah, those ambassadors are just. That's the one I smoked the most.
Yeah, the Migdalio was real good too. The little guy.
Yeah, those are good. But compared to their portfolio overall and price point wise, those were those A's were where it's at. So
I like that they keep their price down.
Yeah, well, originally those were supposed to be their event-only cigars, and then I guess they got enough popularity and demand where they just released them as like a regular production item or something.
Have we not signed up to be an ambassador on any of these cigar manufacturers?
They have like a club of sorts, and you sign up and you get at an event and you get like a challenge coin kind of thing with a number on it, and I don't know. I just thought the coin was cool. I have zero involvement with anything else they're doing.
We need to get a sponsor for Next Stogies that does cigars.
Yeah, but then they got to give us cigars.
Yeah, that's like the best part.
And a lot of them. Like, I want a box a month.
I need at least 6,000 to 7,000 right now.
Yeah, dude. Daytona? You think I'm going to Daytona with anything less than 20 cigars? You're out of your mind. I'm going to smoke damn near all of them that whole weekend. 3 days.
You know what I'm bringing to Daytona for me, you, and Phil to have is those cigars I bought from you that I sent you for your wedding.
Those angel shares?
Those angel shares.
Ooh.
I forgot about mine.
Boy, those things put me on my ass. Those things were strong. I was not like for being an Opus. Like Opus is like top tier, god level, like the best of the best of the best, like 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is gonna be really nice and smooth. Like, hadn't had the angel share one yet, and I smoked it, and it was like a freaking bomb, dude.
Well, I got 3 coming with me.
It was good.
I forgot to smoke them.
It was delicious, but I was just not expecting it to be as peppery and upfront as it was. So
we'll smoke it as cigar number 2.
Smoke it first thing in the morning.
It'll put hair on your back.
That's right. You drink a bang and you smoke the harshest cigar you can possibly smoke first thing in the morning to get the day started right.
Dude, push-ups and a cup of coffee. That's the best thing you can do.
You think my giant ass is doing a push-up? Have you seen me try to do a push-up? It depresses me.
I bet you put at least 50 down, Justin. You're a big boy.
You're out of your mind. 0.50 maybe.
Oh, and then we go straight to mimosas. I don't want you to think that your boy loves mimosas and charcuterie boards. I am that.
We're classy. We're having brunch.
About that. I will be at the spa.
He's middle-aged and Caucasian, so it all makes sense.
I sunburn under UV lights inside. Just saying.
And I'm allergic to aspen and mice.
Oh my god, I'm allergic to fucking everything.
Oh, dude. I feel you on that. My wife is allergic to everything under the sun, including the sun.
Dude, I fucking had skin cancer before I was 18. I'm allergic to grass. I'm allergic to mice. I'm allergic to aspen. Just everything fucks me up.
Daytona might kill him.
God damn it, we're live. All right, so my wife had something when she was younger, before I met her, called a Steven Johnson syndrome reaction. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's pretty much when all of your skin blisters from a reaction from medications.
Ooh.
Like all of yourself blisters, like just terribly, like
big ones or like little ones,
like second degree burns all over her whole.
Wow.
She showed me like one picture of it. I was like, oh my gosh, it was way before I met her. It was a reaction from 2 different medications or like a mixture of medications. So jeez. I feel young. She's allergic to a lot of stuff. Like right now during this season, like if they do landscaping outside, she's like, this is awful.
Yeah,
she can't breathe. Takes like 5 or 6 different like cocktails of allergy meds.
Whew.
Hilarious. Yo, that's
hilarious.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the minute you were like, I'm allergic to mice and grass, and I was like, yes, yeah. I know who you are.
He has one of those pill tracker things that has all the days of the week labeled, and
I don't think I have any food allergies. That's kind of rad.
Like back here. No food allergies. That's good.
No food allergies.
We actually, the first time we went out to eat one time, and she had an allergic reaction, like she was going to anaphylaxis. We still don't know what it was from. And the running theory was that she was just like, her histamine levels were so high and that something reacted with just her like inhaling pollen, like natural pollen from the air all day. And yeah, that was like a nice $2,000 ambulance ride and all these drugs.
Baby.
I was like, ooh, this is God. I love America. America.
Someone's getting their cake and eating it too.
Absolutely.
Ambulance
Always.
gas is expensive. More expensive than normal gas.
What's even better is we even refused the ambulance, and they were like,
No. We want this money.
exactly. And trust me, they got it.
You don't think you're getting a ride or not getting a ride? Like,
Yeah.
we showed up. You pretty much have to come with us now.
Yeah.
We didn't drive all the way over here in 30 seconds just for you to say no.
Oh no, she was at an urgent care, and they're like, we have an ambulance. We're gonna send you to an actual hospital.
Oh, maybe
like,
that's why, because
Yeah.
urgent care was like, hey, this is legit.
Yeah. I mean, she was fine.
Yeah. She was struggling to breathe, but I mean, other than that, she's fine.
Well, they had given her a lot of shots already, and some of it was helping, but they were like, it's not where we want it to be at. So they were like, she needs to go in an ambulance. So we were like, no, we're refusing the ambulance. They're like,
we'll go if you pay for
it. Yeah, I literally was like, I don't want to pay for this, and they're like, no, you're gonna.
We gonna get you.
Oh, they got us.
We're getting our money one way or the other, Alex.
They got us good on that one. Let me tell you.
Hospital bills are like taxes. You don't actually have to pay them. So, you know.
That's the thing. We did all the things where they're like, oh, just call, see if you can lower the bill. I mean, we lowered it a little bit and then just had to pay it off.
You're like, yeah, okay, sure. We'll take off $50. So you owe us $19.50.
I think they took off like $200-300, but it was still like a good $1,700. Like, that
good, we're settled then, right?
Yeah,
we took off,
like,
we took off 5%. You're fine.
God, that was fun.
But anyways, this is episode 8 of CornStars, which is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. Facebook, Instagram. I have their racks. I have their cages. I love them. I need more of their racks for all the corn snakes that Chris keeps sending me.
Yeah, you got
and all the ones I keep hatching. I know. I'm ready. I got the last homemade rack that I was emptying at my parents' house. I was like, okay, that's 18 more slots, I think, to use for 2 months until they all outgrow them. But black box rack has to happen soon. Another XR20 would be great. I love that rack. Super smooth. Don't spill water bowls all over the place. Where like there's there's nothing worse than changing bedding. And you go to push in a tub in a rack or pull one out to do something because, maybe you forgot to put a hide back in or whatever, and you slosh that water all over that brand new bedding.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's all soaking wet, and it's either let it dry or just replace it all again, or at least half of it. I'm not into that. So with these black box racks, that is not a problem. I assure you. I'm very picky about that.
Yeah, I'm planning out the room where I'm sitting is my new reptile room. We have a contractor that's going to be meeting with us at the end of the month to get it framed out and all the insulation and stuff done. That's going to be 12 by 12, I think is what it ends up being. And I'm going to be doing, I haven't decided on my racks. I may go ARS, but I do like the stuff that Black Box has. But I'm going to be doing a wall of,
how dare you,
of cages. And I want to do 3 foot by 2 foots. And they have some, I mean, I've been kind of putting stuff in my cart, thinking about, all right, what am I going to do here? But I think I'm going to be going with Black Box for the display cages.
Yeah.
So, but I've definitely got to make more room. I'm at the point between holdbacks and life and stuff that if I don't expand, I'm going to be cutting back more than I already have this year, and that's been a little rough.
Yeah. Well, if you do end up getting black box cages, use the code THN at checkout and get a little bit shaved off the top. Probably more than what the hospital would take off of a bill.
True.
But, whatever. So please give them a follow. And then Silent Hill Reptiles, our boy JT and Mindy, producing some of the nicest corns around. Whatever you see in groups that are complaining about their displays at a show is just goofy.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever
That was
seen.
the dumbest thing.
Yeah.
'Cause he had some of his females together in a tank just to be able to show people like where these things are coming from, and someone took a picture. It was like, this was at a local show. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I brewmate my females together. Hell, half the time between now to October, I'll house my females together. Just you know what I mean. Cuts down on doing bedding swaps. A little easier to feed. I only swap one water bowl. I mean, it's put them in a V70 or something. I mean, there's people are a little ridiculous on that stuff.
Yeah.
That
little do they know that they've got some killer stuff that they've been working with and expanding upon and other stuff. So give them a follow.
Some of the best snakes out there available
absolutely,
right now.
Especially
goddamn.
Corns. They got some Bairds that I sold them a while back that are really nice. That they just hatched out a clutch from, and then they got some carpets and other stuff. Man, they just everything they've got is real choice. So
that honey tessera that I sent pictures of the other day. Oh my gosh, that thing is.
Mine is looking good, man. I cannot wait to get him paired up with stuff.
I also have one. He's doing well. Yeah.
The caramel diffused I hatched. So I had caramel to caramel, het diffused, het honey, het cinder. And it was funny. I got one honey, one cinder, one diffused. The honey didn't make it, sadly. But I got one of each. I didn't get any combos of any of them. But all of them were caramel, of course. But the diffused I kept. The cinder Justin has. But dude, that diffused is insane. It is, nice. And it's like super mask, so its head's just like. But he is stunning already. Oh my gosh, Silent Hill's stock stuff is just
Yeah,
and that cinder caramel may be going to him for him to use at some point in the not too distant future. I don't know. We got to talk about it, but.
I didn't keep it because I have a cinder caramel that I bought from him the year before. I have every version of those combinations with the exception of a diffuse that I hatched this year. So that's the one I kept.
Cool. Just plan on just mixing them all together.
Mix and match, you know what I mean? And also lets me have maybe I could take that. I keep more males, so all my stuff's 1.1. So what I'll be able to do with that is, I'll do caramel to caramel, or I'll do caramel to honey, or I'll do honey to caramel, or I can do honey to honey, or I can do honey tessera to honey, or now I can do caramel diffused to honey, het diffused, right? And then, it's just, I want to be able to have a bunch of options to be able to plug
just
and play.
When it comes out of the egg, you're like, all right, what am I going to get this time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I'd rather have 20 snakes that I get to pick 5 clutches out of. Right, instead of having 10 snakes that make 5 clutches, right? I don't know if that makes sense, but I'd rather be able to swap each year, give females years off, maybe even not brewmate a female one year so that I can get her a little bit more size, just stuff like that.
That's what I'm gonna do with this blood red girl, dude. I'm now gonna be super paranoid to pair her again.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm gonna do my best if I even do pair her up next year.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to beef her up more and get more food in her and try and get her more better prepared.
I've had females come from other people that have laid good clutches. I have never had a male come from somebody else. I mean, in 3 years of different situations, never had a male come from somebody else and sire a clutch of good eggs for me.
Really?
It happened with Mex this year. I had an adult male come to me and I had an adult female. And all slugs. Last year it happened with one of the pairs of corn snakes I had. The year before that it happened with bull snakes. Or last year was bull snakes. The year before that was corn snakes. But yeah, for some reason shipping males and then planning on them breeding for some reason doesn't work. Females are fine, right? Like,
which is odd because with like chondros, it's kind of the opposite. Like males usually aren't a problem, but females you almost have to give them a year to like settle and get into the groove of like a room and stuff like that before you can even pair them, without having problems.
I don't know what it
Bizarre.
is.
Like that male blood red, he was ready to go, man. Like as soon as I put him in there with her, he was like all about it, and she wanted nothing to do with him. So it was
the males do fine, yeah. It's or I'm sorry, the females are receptive. usually. That's kind of weird that your female wasn't receptive. But a female laying bad eggs is usually indicative of bad sperm. Because if
She's
they're
got
ovulating,
one slug left.
just push it out, man. I mean, I've had to
It's
do
moving. It's getting closer to the vent. It's working. I'm not really worried about her anymore as far as health goes at this point. Like, she is passing them just very, very slowly. It's still literally at that rate of like one every other week.
Yeah.
So she's got one left in her for sure that I can see. I need to palpate her and make sure there's no more, but I don't know what the hell happened there. But it's just strange how she's completely fine.
Yeah.
But she's been holding on to these eggs for over 2 months now.
Wow,
I think just strange.
A little stress there, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that had a part in it too. Was I should have waited. Like, I think pairing them not terribly long after they came in was. I mean, it wasn't like I paired them up, the next night after I unboxed them and set them up and stuff. But I did pair them after a month and a half. They were still in quarantine and everything, and they weren't problematic or anything. But
you got that female from me, and she did fine.
Yeah, she was rock solid from day one. So.
Yeah, she's young though too. She's only, I guess this will be her fourth or fifth year. Yeah, she's 5 years old. So I don't know. I don't know if that has anything. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Well, how old are the blood reds?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think they are on the older side. For some reason, I'm thinking maybe they were 2018s, but it might have been older than that.
That's young still. That's not bad.
Yeah,
that's got to be. I think the male gave her bad sperm. That would be my vote.
See, and even that, like, that'd be fine if she just slugged out and laid with no issues. Like, then I'd be like, okay, cool.
Yeah, they don't pass slugs well. It's so weird.
But
like, you would think the slugs would come out easier.
I had one of my girls. She'd a slug stuck in her. I had to get the surgery done.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's rough.
I've been soaking her. Like, she drops a slug, so I'll soak her for an hour or so. That definitely seems to help. Like, I notice if it's further up, like by the time I pull her out of soaking, that egg has shifted down a good bit. I never had to aspirate. It's just been waiting, making sure she's hydrated, and kind of just leaving her be. But I think I got lucky, honestly. That's not something that I think it's definitely not a worst case scenario. So
yeah. It doesn't sound like she's in trouble. It might be, and like you said, maybe give her a year off and let her do her thing.
I was really excited to pair those. I think that's probably why I did it, because I was anxious to.
I'm gonna send you some blood red stuff, Justin. Don't worry, I promise.
Oh. Other than that, I mean, all the babies and stuff that I've hatched out so far are doing really well. Me and Alex were sort of hanging out earlier before you hopped on, Chris, and I was popping some Bairds, some low mounted Bairds that had shed finally.
Nice.
It looks like right now I have 2.6.
Nice.
I don't know if that's accurate though or not, because I had the same thing with the Diones, and I don't like for whatever reason these Bairds seem harder to pop than the corns, and I don't know if it's just me.
Yeah,
he's getting frustrated.
I don't know if it's just the snakes, but I'm like, there should be more peens in here.
I think
that.
I think it's a mental game, because I've had that happen before too. I'm like, man, there's just too many females in this clutch. But then I'll have the next clutch and it'll be 7.1, and I'm like, all right, I'm doing this right. Like, so.
Yeah, well, pretty sure all of those are going to end up staying here anyways for the time being, unless I end up getting another 4-legged lizard. We'll see.
More lizards.
I don't know yet. But,
that's good though, man. And you got a Nueces County thorn scrubs on the ground.
Those, yep, we're just over a month in on those in the incubator.
I'm excited to see those.
Those are going to be some big babies.
Mm-hmm.
Those Bairds compared to corns when they come out are huge.
Yeah.
It's just wild, the size difference and just the weight, like the heftiness of them. Like those Bairds, man, they are chunky. The corns come out and they're all like thin and shoelacy, and Bairds come out just muscular, and
corns come out really small compared to like a lot of stuff. I'll tell you what, Leonis, variable kings come out tiny, even compared to like gray banded king snakes. variable kings are tiny.
That's odd. Because I would expect them to come out at least like the same size roundabout.
They're smaller than gray bands. It's weird. And gray bands are bigger than corns, for me at least. My gray bands come out bigger than a corn, at least chunkier. Maybe not the same length. Woo! Little status update on the Badlands for petaculture.
Yeah, what's happening over yonder?
Oh, we are at all-time maximum stress levels. You know what I mean? Everything is hatched, just about. I have a clutch of Everglades left. Black pines, all 5 hatched out, beautiful on the ground. Piss and vinegar. Good God, they are little demons. Northern pines are out. All 6 came out beautiful and healthy. Calm, sweet little puppy dogs, just like when I got my babies, just like my adults.
It's just funny, like the night and day difference between the two. Like you sent us videos, and it's like the northerns are just chilling and hanging out, and then you have the blacks, and there's like a tub full of just hissing and striking and anger.
Dude, they do it in the egg. They'll be coming out of the egg, and like you'll check on them, and they start hissing and stuff, and it's like, oh, I love you so much. You're the best. What else has come out? I got Leonis on the ground. My first clutch of Alterna, all of them came out perfect. I got some killer looking 3 miles. I did a different pairing this year. I have a snake I call the Dark Knight, and he's almost solid black. He was produced by Stu Tennyson. He is insane. Well, some of the babies, I paired him to my darkest girl, and some of those babies look like they're going to be black, right? They all start light colored, but once they go through their ontogenetic change. Second clutch of Alterna, I had the same problem last year. 6 eggs. They all started pipping. One of them stuck its head out. The other 5 died. So Alterna, when they start pipping, maybe I had slightly more humidity or slightly more water in there. I'm going to try maybe something different. And I do the whole opening thing at day 45. And so the first clutch, everything comes out perfect. Second clutch, all dead in the egg except for one. Same thing, exact same thing happened with the exact same pairing last year. So maybe I'll try a different male with her next year. They're all same locality, and see if, hey, is this actually something going on with the male? Or is it this female? Which could, who knows, right? But I got one clutch of 6 out, and then one clutch, only 1 made it out. The last thing I have left is the Everglades rats, but they're another month out because they, I cohab them, and they breed super late. They did the same thing last year.
Yeah, I'm assuming these thorn scrubs are going to take probably about the same amount of time that the Bairds do, about 66 days, give or take.
A little longer. Yeah. I got all my corn clutches out. So I did my charcoal tessera het diffused to old school blood red het charcoal. She's pied. I did finally hit the 3 years trying. I finally hit a tessera pewter, and I think I got 2.
Nice.
And then I got a regular, standard pewter, a couple blood reds, another tessera blood red, which I held one back last year. This one is also female, and damn, I'm tempted to just keep her back. And then I hatched this, I guess we're going to call it classic. It shows no signs of mask, has perfect belly checkers, and it is like, Justin, you saw pictures of it. This snake could not be a more beautiful snake out of the egg. And I'm like, what are you? You're just a classic corn snake, right? Black saddles already.
I'm
right?
suspicious that you're oddly normal.
Yeah, like the blushing on it is just gorgeous.
Too normal.
Dude, it's like too damn good looking. And what I'm thinking that is the line breeding of the actual old school blood red influencing the classic colors of the corn snake. And so she's got to stick around somewhere. It is a female, but such a pretty snake. And it's so funny that she's one of the favorite snakes I hatched this year, and she's like a classic, right? But that's why we do this. It's
yeah.
And then I had the stripe male I held back, fathered to his mother. He turned out being het ultra. She is,
which isn't a bad thing.
No, she's het amel. So all the I didn't get any amels, or any snows or amels because they're both anery. I got all ultra aneries, which is kind of cool.
And then they love that combination,
dude. And then I got the ghosts. So now I have stripe, ghosts, ultra mel aneries. And dude, some of these things are just like boom, right? They pop. I got ghosts. I got ultramel ghosts. I got ultramel stripe ghosts. I got, I think, one stripe ghost, maybe an anery ghost. I'm gonna give them a couple sheds. It's funny. Her clutch with the different male last year were the easiest feeders I ever had. Because right now I'm trying to feed everything. I got a show this weekend, and I wanted to try to sell some stuff, get some Daytona money going.
Yeah.
These little bastards do not want to eat. I've only got 2 snakes out of this clutch eating, which is really weird for a corn snake clutch. So I'm gonna pick and choose, and I'm gonna send some to Justin so he just has to deal with it. But yeah, I think after Daytona, I've probably got 15 or 16 snakes coming to Justin.
After Chondros and Alterna, I ain't scared, man.
Yeah, see, Alterna and Leonis, I guess I just go into it knowing, right? Like all my Leonis have eaten at least once, and they're different things, right? Different scents, different boiled situations, live, whatever. I go into it knowing that I'm going to have trouble, so I
less
guess
frustrating.
I prepare for,
when you
I
know
prepare.
it's gonna.
Yeah, like I prepare for it, and I make different feeding cards and like different notes on those cards. Whereas corn snakes, I'm like, I'll eat first try, it's no problem. Whereas like, yeah. Also the California Kings by Conjuncta.
Oh yeah.
The Baja Kings they're shedding now already. So those I got to separate them now because I know they're going to eat each other. Because that's where all my dead snakes go, is to the parents. Dude, they're the most hungry little snakes ever. That's what somebody asked me. They were like, "Hey, did you take pictures of the alternative that didn't make it out of the egg?" He's right, take them out. I want to see what they look like and stuff. They all pinned, right? That's what they look like. And I freeze some stuff just so I have it for scenting, just to look at it later, and just forget about and then get scared. But what I did is I just put all the baby This is terrible. Hey guys, I'm sorry. This is probably gonna make somebody mad. But I put all the alternative that didn't survive into a deli cup, and I put it in with the female Conjuncta, and she just gobbles them all up. It's disgusting.
Dude, they're going to something. They're not going
I could throw them
away.
away.
They're going in the trash. Yeah, it's awesome. Like I'd rather that happen, like them actually be a benefit to something else.
Yeah, and
it's just in the freezer.
I could see somebody being like, well, don't do that, it's going to make them want to eat snakes. And it's like, well, if the female didn't already try to eat the male every time they bred while they were breeding, I totally understand.
Yeah, we're past that point. Yeah,
we're not changing this at all.
That ship has sailed.
Yeah, so she had 4. She had 3 alterna last night, and the male had 2. So it is what it is. It sucks, man. Right? Like,
I mean, I used, when cresteds used to drop their tails, I'd feed them to snakes. Yeah, they freaking corns loved them.
I know people that breed cresteds just to feed the snakes. They literally hatch them, freeze them, and then I don't condone that. I'm not saying do that, but some of the king snake guys will hatch them, freeze them, and then when it's they got a picky snake, they're tiny. You know what I mean?
That's just such a long wait, though, man.
Oh, you put them in an incubator at 84 degrees, they hatch in like 55 days.
Still,
and they come out tiny, perfect for the freezer.
Still, that's just a long time to. I'd rather just get a group of Turks and breed those.
But remember, you can breed cresteds year round while you're waiting for your snakes to get through brumation.
I think you could breed Turks year round if you kept them warm enough.
Probably, right?
I think those things, man. You kept those warm just year round, kept them well fed. I think you'd have a tank covered in eggshells and stuff in no time.
There are a lot of them. I feel all bad. I'm just all like, yeah, let's kill the geckos and feed them to the snakes while I have like a huge collection of geckos.
Well,
yeah. So that's the Badlands situation.
Yeah. So this week, or this episode, I should say, since this isn't necessarily a weekly podcast, we are joined by. Yeah, this whole show is based around Chris's schedule.
Yeah, my work sucks.
It
doesn't suck. My schedule does.
Like Chris kind of just takes the reins on this one. I'm like, whenever you're ready, let me know, and we do it. He wanted to get an episode in before Daytona.
Yeah, we definitely did.
Which I was telling Alex, I don't know if you're on the lookout for anything when you're there, but my main goal is going to be another honey of pretty much any kind. I don't even really care pattern wise, like if it's a Tessera or a Motley again or whatever, and a candy cane female for my male candy cane Tessera. So those are sort of at the top of the list.
If I see red Zeppelins, I'm going to buy them.
See those, you have to get straight to Trumbauer and Tony D's table because those I think go first most of the time.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get in there, you need to make a beeline for that table and see what they have because they go quick.
Yeah, I that's the snakes. I want a pair of those. Other than that, I'm just trying to stack up money. I've got a few grand set aside and see what else comes up. I'm gonna need you to ship snakes to me. so I can't because I'm flying. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything I really is on my radar. I got a pair of Jani, Scott Hollinger. I got a pair of completely unrelated with full lineage Jani.
Nice.
So they're more deep orange, more red on their saddles. These are babies. They look. I mean, it's funny. Hatchlings kind of look just like my hatchlings. It's funny, dude. They are piss and vinegar. I love them. They're the best snakes on the planet. But I got a pair from him this week. I actually contacted him when he posted egg pictures because there's just not a lot of Jani breeders, and most of them have similar like mine, which are more yellow, more orange. His are that deep orange with the red and that kind of like burnt color, and so that'll be good because that project I held a male back this year. I held a pair back last year. Next year I'll try to hold back a female if I get more females. We're gonna do some experience with that, and I've got the striped female or the aberrant striped female that I'm hoping is a project and turns out to be something genetic, and she's just gangbuster. She's perfect. So I got more Jani. So, but if I find Jani or if I find Deppy, I'll buy them. At least another pair or something.
I mean, the last 2 years there hasn't been a ton. Well, I take that back. When I was looking for Northerns, there would be maybe one or two tables, and they'd maybe have one or two. I don't recall sort of what the situation was with other pits and stuff, but as far as Northerns go, it was always like, man, there's one over there, and they want like 300, 350 for it or something. I'm like, nah.
Pits are in a weird spot. They've gone up a lot in price, and then there's a guy who buys a lot of the pits that show up that are kind of normal price, and it does two things. One, it takes them out of the hands of the producers, so it kind of sucks. You lack on lineage, but he increases the price. But that's a good thing because it's raised the price of Pidgeophis to kind of, bull snakes used to be $50, right? And I've never sold a bull snake other than like homies and stuff, but like I've never sold a bull snake for less than $150, like just a normal bull snake.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, black pines are like $450 now. Northern pines are $250. The pricing has gone crazy on these things that used to be super cheap. Rising tide lifts all boats. So the problems that we endure through people wholesaling a lot of these things also generate benefits. So,
yeah.
But yeah,
Alex, what's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. You got to remember, I'm such a fan of this podcast, so it's just fun hearing you guys riff back and forth. It's like, oh shit, I'm actually on it.
It's real.
We're excited to have you on, man. Anybody as excited about these little critters as we are,
thank you.
Is a friend of ours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. So we are joined by Alex Horvath of Keystone Corn Snakes, who is also up in the sort of general area of JT and Mindy at Silent Hill. So he's been on the radar as far as getting him on CS here, having a siesta. Get it, Chris? You look confused.
I don't know what that means.
CS CornStars. CS. CS.
Get it because he's using the letters and he's speaking spit. Anyways,
it's
a whole thing. It's a thing.
Oh man.
Siesta means nap.
Good humor's wasted on you people.
A fiesta is a party. A siesta is actually a word, and it means nap.
I thought it just meant break.
That's wrong twice in one podcast.
Doesn't matter.
Let's go for 3 and we can end it.
Yeah.
I didn't speak Spanish.
So, let's get into the sort of just the usual general introduction stuff. What's the current collection looking like? How'd you get into reptiles? If you want to dive into that, depends. You can hang out in the shallow end or you can dive deep. It's up to you.
So the simple answer of like how I got into reptiles was just somebody abandoned a snake at a Petco, and I took it home. It was really how it went down. So in the middle of COVID, during quarantine, I work in restaurants, so all the restaurants shut down. My wife, fiance at the time, but my wife was working at a Petco and a Banfield pet hospital attached to PetSmart. So she's kind of double dipping a little bit, and so she would work
double agent.
Yeah, she would work Petco like 1 or 2 days and work mostly at the Banfield Pet Hospital. And I was just sitting on my ass playing video games for like 4 or 5 months. It was awesome. But I was, house was immaculate, all this type of stuff. So I was probably like, I don't want to say like 2 or 3 weeks back to when our restaurant opened up. And my wife and I were working opposite shifts. So I would wake up super early, go into work, cook food, come home in the afternoon. She'd already been gone for like an hour or two. And I was going from being up till 4 or 5 in the morning to now having to be up and working at like 8. So my sleep schedule was all sorts of fucked. And I remember I fell asleep. And as I would do, I would like take a nap after work, wake up, cook dinner, get the house together. And I remember I woke up this one day and checked my phone, and I had like 6 text messages from my wife. And I was like, well, that's more than usual, but okay.
Seems dangerous,
and
yeah.
I was like, okay, what's going on? And I look, and she just sent me this text message. She's like, hey, I'm at work. Somebody abandoned this corn snake here. Nobody can take it home. They were suggesting I take it home. So she's like, I wanted to check with you first before I did it. She's like, do you want to take the snake home? And I'm looking down. She sent a picture of it too, and I was just like looking down at the little red eyes as a snow.
Nice.
And I was like, corn snake. I was like, the fuck? I was like, yeah, we could take that home. That's fine. So I'm like, all groggy. I get out of bed, and I go over to my computer, and I just start Googling how to take care of a corn snake feeding, got all this type of stuff. Like never owned a reptile once. Like never even. I had like one inkling, like a couple years back. I had a falling out with some of my college roommates, and I was like really lonely. I had to move back in with my parents. I'm living with mom and dad. I was like, all of my friends aren't around. And I was like, man, I'm really lonely. I was like, maybe I can get a pet. It's like, no, can't get a dog or cat. Parents won't like that. It's like, what if I become the exotic, like, what if I have a reptile? What if I'm that guy? And I was like, maybe I'll get a chameleon. And I was like, that lasted like a week. And then I just dove straight into work. So now we took home this corn snake. So now I'm chilling. We got this corn snake, and she had all sorts of stuck shed. And, I'm just doing all this research, like how to take care of it, how to fix those problems we're having, how to feed it properly. And this is still at a time where I'm taking it and feeding it in a separate cage. Like I got to that type of research where I'm like, I noticed super quickly, there's so much like mixed messages through, you got to do this, don't do this. And I was like, okay, I don't know any better. I also didn't know that it was a snomorph too. I kept calling it an albino, white skin, red eyes, albino. Didn't know
snow
anything
actually
about,
looks albino. Yeah.
Didn't know anything about.
I wouldn't blame
anything.
people one bit for thinking that was what was going on.
But this is like how super like young I was with it. So, she was doing well. She was growing up a little bit, and then we had some friends of ours, Tim and Emily, and they invited us to a reptile expo because Emily was about to start working from home. They were like, well, we see that you love your snake so much. They're like, we want to get a reptile. They were thinking about it. They were like, okay, and so they invited us to Reptile Expo. First one I've ever been. Never been to a reptile show ever before. I've had it for months, the snake. Never even thought, oh, this is a thing that happens. Didn't know they were in my area. Turns out there's a lot of them in my area. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool when you kind of crack that, like, holy crap, there's so many things I can do with this. Yeah.
And I legit think Pennsylvania might be within like the top 3 of the
there's a
state with the most shows.
So many of them.
Like I never hear of another state that has as many shows as I do with Pennsylvania.
And Texas, don't you never forget that, brother. Dude, there's a show every weekend in Texas.
Yeah,
there's practically a show here every weekend.
Goddamn right, it's huge. It's the biggest state I've ever seen.
So they invite us to the York County Reptile Expo, which is a smaller show. And so I was like, oh, this is great, actually. Like, now instead of just doing the research and like YouTube videos and like forums that I'm not even talking on, I can go talk to people that are actually doing this. So it was like my first like, oh, thank God, like somebody else besides a Petco employee that I can actually talk to. So we go through and we're going around. I'm super arachnophobic, dude. I don't like
Really?
spiders at all. And I didn't realize it's a reptile expo, but there's going to be spiders there too.
There's a lot of
Scorpions,
crossover.
They're
bugs,
big.
yeah.
So my wife is like blocking like all the spiders. She's like, "Don't go to this table. Go to that table." I was like, "Yeah, sure." I was like, "Let me just look at them." Anyways, so we found this one table, and this guy had corn snakes. He's like, you can hold it and like check it out. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I'm standing there, we're holding this corn snake, and I'm like, "Holy shit! Like, our corn snake's gonna get this big? Like, it's just under a yearling." I was like, I had no idea. So that was pretty cool. And then, most shows are like 90% ball pythons.
Yeah.
Like the other 10% is pretty much just spiders, arachnids, blah blah, everything else.
Yeah.
So I found one person selling corn snakes. I don't even think that guy that was letting me hold corn snakes was selling any. I found one guy selling corn snakes. So go over to this table, I'm standing there, I'm talking to this guy, and his wife's there, and so I was showing him, I was like, yeah, I got a corn snake. I was like, am I doing this right? Like, here's what I've been doing. Here's where temperatures have been. Like, she's feeding okay, all this stuff. And, well, actually, even at that time, I didn't know that we got a female. I was just like, I don't know if it's a male or female. And I show him a picture of it, and he goes, well, let me see the tail. I show him a picture of the tail, and he goes, yeah, it totally looks female to me. Just right off the bat, he's like, probably female. I was like, all right, cool. Didn't know you could tell that. He also was telling me about the morph. Again, it all went over my head. Had no idea what he was saying. I was like, yeah, sure. And yeah, so I got to talk to some guy for about an hour or two, just on corn snakes. It was really fun.
That's
Turns
awesome.
out that was JT.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just talking to JT and Mindy for like an hour, watching them sell corn snakes. I was like, should have bought everything at their table. I should have.
Yeah.
Turns out, that's what I should have been doing. I think he had like Motley's or something. I don't know. He had a bunch of stuff. So I just never seen him before. So I remember leaving that show and going, I think I want to do that.
Right.
I think I can do this. I think I can breed a snake.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me work on that. So then I start diving into genetics. I find Ian's vivarium. I start looking at all the morphs. I was like, holy fuck, there's so many morphs here.
So many.
I was like, this is awesome. Look at the combination. I was like, 2, 3, 4. I was like 6 genetic combinations. I was like, what is this? So, I pick out on Morph Market. I discovered Morph Market. Terrible day. That was a bad day for me. So I was going through. I was like, I'm gonna look, some snakes for sale. Picked out one. I told my wife, I was like, I want to get this corn snake. She's like, we already have a corn snake. I was like, I want to pair it.
But what if we had a bunch?
I was like, what if we have another corn snake? So my friends didn't find anything at that Reptile Expo, and by the time they invited us to the next Reptile Expo, which was the Gettysburg Reptile Expo, one of the bigger ones. I think it's Gettysburg Battlefield, whatever. And
the ghost of Abe Lincoln haunts that show.
Yes.
Here.
And so we're going around, and I see JT again, and then I meet my friend Alan Rock at Rock Creek Corns. And so I look at his table, and he's got palmettos. I don't know what those are. I'm just looking around. I was like, all right. I was like, there's so many cool corn snakes around. And he's showing me, I've done like this much genetics research. So I'm looking at base morphs, amels, caramels, diffuse. I know I love blood reds. I know it's diffuse. I was like, kind of still don't understand what that is. I know caramels are yellow. Love that. I know I have an amel. So I'm like, I might as well get amel stuff. It makes things look cool. So he shows me he has this sulfur mask female for
Sulfurs
silver. I was
are
like,
badass.
nice. So I was like, what is that? And he's like, oh, it's these 3 genes. And I was like, well, what's the mask gene? And he's like, oh, I see how it kind of
Nobody
looks
knows.
like the. He's like, you
We
see
don't
how
know.
it kind of makes it look like the Venom mask or like stuff like. I was like, oh yeah. He's like, pretty much that. I was like, all right. Little did I know it's way more complicated than that. All right, sure.
Yeah.
So they're going me on. They're like, you should buy this, trying to be salesman. They're like, you should buy it. I was like, nah, wife will never let me do it. I had that snake from Morph Market coming. Like it was talking with the breeder. It's coming in the mail. I got 2. I can't have 3 right now. I was like, why? We can't have it.
He was at that ask for forgiveness or permission crossroads.
So at that point, we leave the show. I didn't get anything. I get my snake in the mail. I love it. It's awesome.
What was that one that you ended up getting?
It was a caramel motley, which was advertised as an ultra caramel motley.
Okay.
But then it was het for like Anery and Amel, so it might have been an ultramel technically. But I didn't know much of that.
A gold dust motley, I think.
Yeah, it was
something like that.
I didn't know a lot. She was like, oh, it's possible. I didn't know at the time what a lot of the genes were. I was like, yeah, sure. It's
There's a
caramel.
lot.
Yeah.
Caramel. That's what I wanted. So then that snake died within like 2 days.
Oof.
That happens. Yeah, it sucks.
I got it in. It was really tiny. I put it in, put it in a cage, gave it some substrate, gave it water. I knew it had a bowel movement, covered it, made sure it was like nice and just
secure,
chill,
yeah,
secure. Check on it. All right, I'm not going to handle them yet. People are saying wait a couple days. Make sure it's good. By like the 3rd day, we checked it. It was belly up. It was dead. Man, I was like bawling. I was crying. I was like, I just wanted to keep it alive. Like,
yeah.
I came into my care and it died almost immediately. I was like, my wife was like, it wasn't you. Something must have been wrong. Like,
yeah,
you did everything right. Even people I've talked to, they're like, you did the right thing. It's fine.
I mean,
it just happens. They're like,
something rolls that fast. There was something going on before
it just
you
happens.
got it.
We always blame ourselves when things like that happen, and it's not the right thing to do.
I think it's still good to sort of evaluate and wonder.
Yeah.
What could I have been doing wrong?
Yeah.
But to immediately go, oh, it was something I did. I think
it wasn't on the dashboard of your car.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it was at home. I had temperature gradient. Everything was perfect. It had water. So it had hides. It was also not using its hides. That was another thing.
Huh.
So it kept like to the corner, and I was just like, okay. But anyways, I digress. So now I'm sad. I'm out some money for shipping. I got my money back on the reptile. Breeder was very nice.
That's good that the breeder did that somewhat.
Yeah. She was very good about it. So I will probably buy from her in the future. I'm just gonna be more cautious and be like, hey, I want it raised up a little bit more. Just
Yeah.
Instead of I've heard the 3 and it's good to go. Give me like 5 or 6, please, just for me. So we go to another reptile expo with my friends, just because now they're in it too. And we're just going to shows together. We go to the Hamburg Reptile Expo, which is about an hour. I heard
that one's like awesome.
Yeah, that one is like a little bit big. I think it's a little bit bigger than Gettysburg. So many people there, lots of variety, just great show. And I see my friends from Rock Creek Corns there again. And dude, it's probably like a couple weeks to a month later. Sure as shit, that sulfur mask is still sitting there.
That means it's meant to be.
That's your snake.
That's
dude.
Again, that's exactly what he said. He was like,
"That's it."
Prices reduced a little bit. I got the money back. I was like, I got to get this snake.
Yeah.
I'm telling the wife, I was like, it's the combination of all the things I want to work with, all the ones that I understand at least right now. I said it's a female. I said I know we probably got a female at home. I said, we got to raise it up anyways. It's not going to be able to breed next week. So that started like a beautiful friendship of just like, I take it home and we'll get deep in on this. So I was stupid. I have this tiny corn snake. I buy a tall, like the small, tall, open face Exoterra.
Oh yeah.
and put the probe in, dude, that thing escaped from it super quickly. I lost that within like the first 2 days. I was like, oh my god, I'm so stupid.
12 by 12 by 18, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, I'm so stupid. So I remember I woke up from, it was my day off, and my wife went to work. I cooked her breakfast, and I was like, let me go check in on the new corn steak. And I was like, she's still settling in. Maybe I shouldn't. I was like, no, I should check on her. Check out hide number 1, not there. Hide number 2, she's not there. Water dish, fuck, she's not
no
there.
worse feeling.
And I was like, okay. I was like, maybe she's just deep in the substrate. I gave her a lot of substrate. I started closing the door, and I was like, I need to fucking see her right now. I was like, I need to have eyes on this snake.
Yeah,
I started
know
digging through the
exactly what you're
substrate.
talking about.
I was like, I can't find her. My wife's already at work. I'm calling her. I was like, I lost the snake. I don't know where it is. She's like, what? She's like, how the fuck did you lose it? I was like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. I find it. I do like quick Google searches. I'm like cleaning. I'm looking all over the place. I finally find it. So anybody who hears this, here's my advice. My room is very messy. There's 1,000 places to hide. There's clothes all over the fucking floor.
Yeah.
I cleaned as I was going. I got a clean laundry basket. Checked every single thing as I was going. Went really carefully. Got the floor nice and clean. Checked every nook and cranny I can. I got the place dark and quiet. And then I just waited. I got out of the room. And I just sat on my couch for like 4 hours. I know this sounds crazy. 4 hours, every 30 minutes, I'd burst in the room, turn on a light, and scan the floors. After 4 hours, I found her. She was going back towards her enclosure. I picked her up, and I put her in a critter keeper. That's my advice. No exoterra. It was, dude. I was so stupid.
There have been so many times where I went to go check on something and notice it's not there, but then I continue to dig through the substrate as if it's just gonna magically appear. I just keep going through the substrate as if I somehow missed it.
It was like 2 minutes. I was like taking a spoon. You ever spoon it out too? You're like, she's in here. Yeah, it's gotta be in here.
It's gotta be in here. Like I'll move it all to one side, after, like individually, like by a handful, and then I'm like, okay, so maybe she was in that handful, and so I'll like move it back as if it's just gonna magically show back up. Like I did that with puppy pads at one point. I was like looking under the puppy pad, put it back down. I'm like, maybe she was like moving around, so I'm like opening it.
You're like into that. It's like, is it there? It's not there. It's there.
That's the Justin Smith version of keeping. Fuck it. I'll find it later.
Free range.
Free range snakes.
And then you don't know how long they've been gone.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's another thing. I was like, well, I definitely had eyes on her before I fell asleep and didn't have eyes on her about an hour after I woke up. So I was like, somewhere in like an 8-hour window, she fell. Like
You're
she
trying
got
to
out.
use like CSI, like thinking of crime scenes.
Dude, I was so pissed.
When the last time you saw him.
So I got her back. She was good. You know, set her up in a proper place for a small corn snake like that. I was so stupid, and I wait like a week. She's not eating for me. So then the breeder was like, if you have any problems, just text me. I was like, okay. Besides losing it, it's not eating for me. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, let me give you some advice. Like, try this. And Alan helped me troubleshoot that for like probably like 3 weeks.
Nice.
She didn't eat for me for a while. So, you know, we're talking for a little while. And I have no friends in snakes. He was like the first person that was like, here's my phone number. It was like, anytime you want to talk, text me, call me, whatever. And yeah, ever since then, I've been getting, I'm like corn crazy now. So once you have one snake, you need two snakes. And then once you have 2 snakes, you need 3.
Yep. Well, the best thing I always tell people, the coolest thing when you're feeding frozen thawed and you know you have a cleaning regimen and you've decided how you're going to keep these animals, taking care of 2 is about the same as taking care of about 14, 15.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's the same amount of time. I mean, it takes X amount of time to thaw out a mouse, so why not just thaw out 10 at a time? You know, spot cleaning is real easy. Sure, full tank cleaning is, or tub cleaning, or however you're going to do it, is a little bit more time. But and then you have like hundreds. And that's all you do.
And it's your whole life.
Water changes is where it's like, okay, that's when I'm like, maybe I don't need this many. But then I like open up a tub and I look at like that female mask that I got from Chris. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I got them all. Just days off. This is what days off are for. I just sit on the couch anyways. Like,
my every time I click the checkout button when I'm buying mice, I'm like, yeah, I'm an idiot. I'm in trouble. and then I do it the
how
next
much money in mice? It's like, no, don't worry about it, sweetie. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's just
no,
our mortgage for a month. No big deal.
Anybody that decides to make breeding a hobby, I just want you to know, open a business account with, have your checking account that is only for reptiles, so you can't spend more than you have, and you don't start dipping into mama's money, because when she wants new shoes, she better get new shoes. So it's a little ipso facto. If you enjoy sleeping in the bed and or in the AC, I suggest.
So yeah, that's kind of where I was at for a while, because I kept buying snakes, and like I would kind of do the thing where I'd ask for forgiveness instead of ask permission. So pretty much I got to this point where I would just be like, I'm looking at a snake, and then that was just code for I'm buying a snake.
Yeah.
I'm messaging, I'm talking to the person, and she'd be like, what snake are you getting? And be like, I told you about. You remember this snake? I saw it on Morph
We talked about this like 3 weeks ago.
We talked about this.
Yeah.
I
got
was
lucky.
doing that shitty thing.
Me and my wife started dating 20 years ago. She comes over to my apartment and she's like, how many fucking snakes do you have? And I'm like, I don't know. And then now she goes in the reptile room and she's like, how many snakes do we have? And I'm like, I don't know.
I used to do that with my parents all the time. I'd get stuff and bring it into my room. Like I'd pretty much sneak it into my room without them knowing. And then my dad would come in and be like, when'd you get that? And I'd be like, I've had that for, a couple weeks. No big deal. I've had that for a while. I would have gotten like yesterday.
You're like you're unboxing it. And you're just like, I don't know, months at least. I don't know. I just So you're buying snakes. You're going to reptile shows. You get the fire's lit.
Another thing I'm doing. Then another thing that's crazy. All my free time is spent online doing research. Like a sickening amount of research.
Yeah.
Like
so at this point you found Joe Phelan's podcast. At this point you maybe even Corn on the Pod, old episodes with Donovan. A huge shout out to having him on Snakes and Stogies. I just got some art from him actually delivered today. Very excited. So it's peaking, right? Like we've done that thing that we all do as nerds, where we just found that new show, that new anime, that new comic book, and you're like, oh my god, I am gonna binge this. I am gonna get the shirt. I am gonna get the Funko Pop. But why corn snakes? You go to these shows, you see 100,000 different animals. Why is it corn snakes?
I think the best answer is they were first. Does that sound stupid?
No, that's
like
very accurate. Yeah.
I keep thinking that if the first thing we brought home was a ball python, would I be a ball python guy? And I'm not sure. I very well could have been, but I think it's because the fact that the corn snake, fell in my lap. It's like the very first, like,
it has sentimental value.
Yeah, it's like I don't have big plans for. Like, I have a ball python. We actually took in one. But he's just there. Like, I'm not going to... You're not... You're just here. You get a mouse. That's what you do. I change out... I'll hold you. Change out your water.
You just take up space.
You just take... He's a freeloader, just taking up space. He's fine. He's good, though. And I got all these corns, and I'm like, I'm going to do so much stuff with this. Because I look through, the morph market. You could calculate everything.
Yeah.
And that's super easy for me. It's like, okay, I understand this. I switch over to the ball python one, and I'm like, so there's like 60. It's 60 genes, and they all look the same, kind of.
But like, ball python people probably do the same thing with corn snakes. You know what I mean?
Like,
yeah. They're like, why is everything recessive? Why is everything so colorful and beautiful? And it makes me wish that I had that in my collection. I understand, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to the whole back rack. I know how they feel. It's like just the last episode. Apparently, Jana finally loves corn snakes. It's like, it took you long enough. What are you talking about?
It's very hard, whether being involved in this hobby for your whole life, or my whole life, or Justin's whole life, or being new to it. We all have respect for these different. So many different directions you can go with it, and you can go every direction. Nobody's sitting here telling you can't get a monitor next and then follow that with a carpet python and then decide to get into dart frogs. I think Justin probably did literally all of those things. At the same time, I think actually, but that's the beauty of cracking that egg.
Yeah.
That initial feeling, and then once you crack that egg, you realize how deep it is, and it sounds like you got some really good people in your crosshairs right off the bat. JT, it sounds like this other guy. I think you said Alan. I think
Alan,
you said
yeah.
I mean, wow, what
he's a good keeper, and he's such a good breeder of snakes. He has everything. He likes to work the palmettos and scala stuff.
Nice.
Me, not so much. Caramel palmettos, those things look awesome.
Pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Pretty neat looking critters. So you're buying corn snakes.
Mm.
What is there I can't use words because words are hard. Is there a particular morph, maybe even a locality or a phase, or what are you buying? What are we building that? What are we stacking the deck with?
So one of the things that I kind of found out was like I like, so like you were saying earlier, what you like the variety in how your stuff would hatch out.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of like I'm buying stuff that I know would just kind of go together and has similar genes. So I like the amel, I like the caramel, I like the blood red diffused. And then I started getting into I found on VMS Herbs there was a buff fire Miami, possibly Hetford charcoal and Anery.
Okay.
And then his name's Julius Caesar. I love him. He's gorgeous looking little, and I love the way that buff just brought down that red.
Yeah,
man, that's an
orange.
interesting
I was like,
gene.
whoa.
So wait, let's break this down. You've got a what like a peppermint, but it's got the buff, so it's bringing the red down.
Yeah.
And
so it's a fire that's bringing.
So it's diffuse. So diffuse amel.
Diffuse amel, Miami.
So it's got that light undertone, right?
Yep, and it's got buff in it, so it's kind of bringing out a little bit of that yellow to it too, which is, and then it's just bringing all that red down to orange, which I really liked.
It gives it that nice wash to it,
Yeah, so he's really nice looking. His I got pictures of the parents, so I was all set to work like caramel, and I still am. Like that, my caramel project kind of took a back burner once I saw him. Now I'm working like straight diffuse and buff. Like I have like a bunch of projects going right now, but I have I guess one of the ones throughout it is diffuse. I have a lot of diffuse stuff.
Diffuse is really, really, it's a very special gene. There's not another gene like it.
It's versatile.
Yeah. And it does a specific thing, right? Like we wash out the belly, we wash out the sides, we get this interesting pattern, but then you start clicking it in with other things, and it, we call old school blood reds, right? Like I always say old school blood reds because there's a difference between your classic diffused and an old school blood red. You see that snake. The diffused also go through the heaviest ontogenetic change, right? They do the most kind of they do the most washing. A lot of that pattern gets lost on the sides, but then they also have like this kind of intrinsic hypo value to them, where there's like an oddness to their color washing. So diffuse is a great gene to be doing anything with.
Yeah. So what was fun actually was just this year. I've only had one pairing, and it was with the guy I get my mice from, Jeffrey McKenzie. He paired I bought an Ultramel Blood Red. I believe was originally produced by VMS from my friend Alan. It was a proven breeder female. I was like, okay, I buy this. This sets me ahead a year or two. I was like, it's pretty good. So I bought her. We paired her this year, and had a little bit of trouble. She got stuck eggs. Like I said, she had to get surgery. But once the eggs started pipping, guess who's het for Anery?
Oh, nice.
So now I'm like, okay, granites are in my future.
So what male was she paired to?
So male was it was my rat guy's male. It was a fluorescent line, reverse Okatee, 100% het for Anery.
Nice.
So
okay.
Snowmaker for him. and then all of her babies turned out to, we got snows, we got ultramels, we got ultramel aneries, all with the Okiti, all 100% head for diffused.
Nice. That's a good clutch.
Yeah, that was a surprising clutch.
Yeah, you're sitting there looking at 4 different variables just right off the bat. Yeah, it's great. And then plus the heads. Now you've got them all head diffused.
Head for diffused. Super excited about that. So, and then I was like, well, now if I hold back one of these, if anything happens to her, if I got females with the lineage. Plus, I was just like, I want a nice like reverse Okiti. So,
see that that's another one that's on my Daytona hit list, is pretty much any of that extreme reverse Okiti stuff.
Yeah.
See, I've got
Tessera, like, oh my god, man. Abbott had some at his table last year. They don't even look real.
Yeah.
It's just
my ERO that I have, that female, the girl that I got her from, Kim Ball, Oddball Exotics, who will have to come on the show at some point. She produced some. I mean, she sent me pictures of the EROs she produced this year, and it's like every year they get better. And I'm like, look at these babies. I mean, solid, just chunks, a third of the way up the tail of white. And she messaged me, and it sucks. I've been working a lot, but she's like, "Which male do you want?" And I was like, "All of them. I want all of them." It's tough. But no, that's so now you've got great lineage, you've got great pattern, you're pairing it in with awesome color combinations, which people need to. There's 36 corn snake morphs, something like that, 33, somewhere in there.
That seems low.
I think that's the number, somewhere in there.
About just base colors?
Just base morphs. Between pattern and color mutations. But we have to give utmost respect to Amel, Ultramel, Anery, and then plus line breeding. You're talking about some of the best. These are some of the best, and they're the ones from the beginning. And it's for a first clutch. That's a great place to be.
Yeah, I was very excited when I saw that hatch out because.
Yeah, how's that feel? Okay, so somebody not in this hobby, not a breeder for a long time.
Yeah.
That first pip, what's that emotion feel like?
So another thing is because another thing that is weird, all of them are with my rat guy right now. They're all, I don't have them. They're over there, but I was so nervous. I kept telling my wife, I was like, I'm gonna give her to Jeff to breed. I was like, I'm nervous. I was like, is that a good thing? Is that a good thing? I should be a little like scared about this. She goes, I think so. And I was like, all right.
It's totally appropriate to be scared every time you breed a snake.
So for I had like this 2 months of just being like, I did a thing. I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen now. And then first hatch out, I was like, okay, that's Ultramel. The next day he texts me. He's like, I think we have a ghost. And then nope, started pipping. There's a snow. And then there's Ultramel aneries. He's like, we have Ultramel aneries. I was like, hell yeah. I was like, this is awesome. I was like, worth it. I was like, all the pain and angst that I felt for like 2 months, I was like, this lessened it. I'm good. I'm feeling good about this now.
It's such a, seeing that first pip, seeing those first babies, getting those color combos. It's like, man, everything I'm doing, obviously I'm doing everything right. I got a healthy female. She gave me a healthy clutch. I have healthy babies, right? So that's it reinforces that idea of, okay, what we're doing is good. And then you get into the, oh my gosh, look at all these snakes I have that are, and I was talking earlier about the stress and getting babies going.
Yeah.
I'll still never forget my first babies hatching, my first geckos, my first snakes hatching. And every time a snake pips, I'm just like filled with joy. I'm like, all right, here it is. Because you don't know what it's going to look like. I don't care if it's a classic to a classic wild caught. Justin had no idea what those Lady Islands were going to look like. And every one of them, you're the first person to see it. Now, maybe you're the second person to see it in this situation, but you're some of the first eyes laid on it. It's new. It only exists because of your decisions, right? You have literally Jurassic Park this shit. You created life, right? And it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a surreal feeling, honestly, of just being like, I'm gonna, I mean, granted, there's also a bit of nature in there too. If you're like, I'm going to pair these two, and they just don't want to go. It happens. I
don't
know it
breed.
will.
Yeah.
And just like I remember leading up to it because it was taking like the Ultramel Blood Red that I have just looks so different from an Okati. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even know like what the babies. So I kept like Googling. I was like, I wonder if anybody has like what it'll kind of look like. Well,
Yeah.
just a little bit. And I kept looking up like, oh, Ultramel Okatis is like, they're gonna kind of look like this. Like I was getting an idea. I was like, they're a little bit. They're gonna.
And then you see like one of the ones Glenn Brooks produces, and you're just like, oh, this could be real special.
Yeah, you're like, you see it, but then again, another thing that I've done is like I see other people producing stuff, and I'm like, all right, what the fuck was that pairing? Is like I need to get that. I need to get a similar pairing going. It may not be exactly like it was.
That's the
problem.
problem.
Let me try.
Is there's just you see so much cool stuff, and there's no way unless you have a warehouse, you can't. You can't
I need
have it all, man. It's so
I need to get to the point where I'm like, I've seen it and they have it, and I'm okay with it. That's where I need to get to. I was like, they have it.
It never happens, Alex. It doesn't exist. I've been breeding animals for 20 years, more than 20 years. Jesus, 1998, whatever year that was.
Oh, wow.
Dude, it never happens. You always find things that you want to keep producing because it's exciting, and then you find more things that you want to produce. And it's something even for me sometimes, like I just want to produce that once, and I'm going to move that project on. But you want to go through the difficulties and the idiosyncrasies of that animal, but it's never going anywhere. You're stuck. You're addicted.
I know. I'm in the thick of it right now.
Yeah.
It's really what it is. So like another thing that kept happening to me was just like you were saying, it's like you see it and you're like, I gotta get it. I would be like going through and looking at Morph Market and stuff like that and seeing what people had available and just being like, I remember my wife asked me, she's like, why are we getting this one? I was like, cute face. It's got a cute face.
This is a good one.
I'm gonna see if I can't just reproduce cute face. That's what's gonna happen.
And then you get people like JT or Eric Westmoreland, who we just had on here,
Yeah.
that take these badass pictures, right, of their babies, and you're just like, damn, I do need zombie stuff too. Huh?
Yeah, right? Oh my God, dude. I was looking at those and I was like, fuck, I don't need it, but I do. Like,
dude, JT's got this thing he does so well, and I don't even know if he knows this, but he takes pictures of his adults so well. His pictures are so good.
Yep.
And then he tells you, I have babies available. Lincoln Zelda just had a baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could have a tester in Miami. And I'm like, I have 40 corn snakes. I produced 100 this year.
What's one more?
I
What's
do
two
need
more?
that.
Yeah.
And you're like, you just go to him. You're like, and Hannibal was paired to which females this year? It's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
All of them. Yeah.
All of them.
I had all the genetics to make a Hannibal baby this year. I did not get a baby Hannibal. That's okay.
You'll hit it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I got lots of life left. And now I'm stacking the deck because next year it'll be a honey Tessera to a honey, both of Hannibal lineage. So they'll have all his het, they'll be het cinder, het diffused, and I'm taking a Tessera honey to a honey. So yeah, I mean, I'm blabbing on about that.
I still need to double check that honey motley to make sure she is actually a she. If it ends up being a male, I'm gonna be kind of bummed.
I don't know. More males. Always more males. More males.
And that's another thing that I kind of ran into. I remember when I started breeding, or like not breeding, when I started to like try to gather stuff for breeding projects, is I was buying one ones. And then I just remember my friend Alan was like, no, you understand that, right? Like, get females as well. I was like, oh yeah, I should probably. Yeah. Oh, male can go to multiple females. Oh, that makes sense.
See, I'm in the camp of if you have space, you have time. I try to do everything 1-to-1. So for every female, I have a male that pairs. That is the pair that's decided, and I'm actually almost always male heavy. Okay. I'll have an extra male. Now I say this, my collection is a little larger than maybe an average collection, but I say that in the sense of I'm not trying to produce these to have a ton of babies. I'm trying to produce these to create something specific. So I'd rather have a backup male if that female's not wanting to, not copacetic with that male, or maybe that male just didn't go right. Like I've had males that are just like not stellar breeders, like my alternative that I was talking about. Like I've got this wild caught male. He's gorgeous and he's gone to females. I've gotten eggs, but I've had constant problems with all the eggs he's ever produced. Maybe, but I have this other male that comes in. You know, I have him for a year or so. I actually bought him as an adult, and I pair him the year after. I brewmate him, I pair him, and he's like, boom, perfect clutch, right? So, beginning, I don't know. I just always suggest people do let's 1-to-1. That's me. You could definitely do 1-to-3, 1-to-4, something like that.
I don't know. My take is, especially as it pertains to chondros, but really anything, is like if you're going to put serious money into something, it should be 1 or 2 absolute banger males.
Yeah.
Like you want the powerhouse genetics and just the really smoking animals.
Yeah.
That you want to put that, don't like, females are great, but you think about it, especially with chondros, you're not going to have nearly as many issues with male chondros as you will females. And because you can put them, you can breed them as many times as you'd like. That's not the same way with females. You're limited there. So I'm all about dropping, like, if I'm gonna invest, quote unquote, in something purposefully, like I'm gonna look for a male, because that's
that when I started building my collection, that's kind of what I started doing, was like, okay, if I get this snake and it doesn't go or doesn't want to, I have this as a backup. Like everything can kind of, if I had like a wheel of how I was going to breed and I could just turn it this way, like one click, it would all still work out well for me. Yeah, like everything has similar genetics. Yeah. You got A-male, ultramel, diffused, caramel, anery, charcoal.
Ultramel diffused are great.
Yeah.
They really are. I think that's one of those ultramel. I don't know. I'm obsessed with ultramel though.
There's a pair that I got. I think they're unrelated from VMS. I got 2 ultramel pewters. The male is 100% het for anery, and the female is possibly het for anery. So I was like, all right, if my Buff Fire Miami doesn't go to, I got one of his sisters. I'll just put him, and then I'm still getting very similar. I'll get ultramel granites, ultramel pewters,
which I really like the pewter stuff too, because that was VMS was doing a sale on those at one point not that long ago, and I was very tempted to do it. It was like buy a female.
Oh, you like pewters, Justin?
I do.
Good news for you.
I don't know if it's just me, but that seems like maybe a morph that there isn't a ton of interest in, because it is kind of just a gray snake, but there's something about, I don't know, you look at in the old corn snake manual and you see some of those, like, I think there's a picture of a pewter in there, and it is like, that is legit a pewter snake.
But it's weird. Wild. So
that
I really
metal
like
stone look.
Yeah. It has a, what's the right, I'm trying to think of the right descriptor for it. But yeah, there's a like a silver leaf kind of,
like, what would you, what if you put cinder to that? Like, would you just make that even more insane? Just
because cinder is going to automatically wash out a lot of your medium grays and turn them into light grays, but it's also going to retain some of the dark gray. So yeah, dude, like a shatter, like a shatter charcoal, or like a shatter pewter. Charcoal is the base of charcoal. And here's something we're going to work on this podcast, is telling people when we're talking about pewters, those are charcoal diffused. Because a few people have reached out to me and been like, let me know what the combinations are that get the next name over. The combination of things. I really like charcoal. I like charcoal because it doesn't really retain a lot of the yellow like anery, which I do love aneries. I have aneries, I have ghosts. Charcoal has that kind of neat thing that it does with just it washes that out. Now I just have a gray and white snake. So now where do I go with that? So I tried to produce pewters for 3 years. This is my 3rd year. I finally produced 3 or 4 or something like that. But I bought a pewter. I was like, damn it, I can't do it on my 2nd year. I was like,
I can't make them. I'll just buy one.
and she'll breed next year. But I have a pewter. She's gorgeous, and I have my charcoal diffused male. He's Tessera, which I love throwing. Me and Justin are on the Tessera boat. I throw Tessera on everything. In fact, almost all of my males are Tessera.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I only have one male. Breed.
Well,
I'm sorry.
You're getting more from that het ghost clutch.
That's a fun clutch. Those are cool snakes. But see, I'm going to pair those back to wild caught, or not wild caught, but F1s. Oh, just go deeper. You know what I mean? Let's put Tessera at a Ladies Island and just keep going in. You know, let's get 3 or 4 generations in and just see what that candy corn, buckskin, copper coloration just does. Ooh, it just gets me excited. But yeah, so the pewter thing is, the pewter is also kind of weird. When you put it to AML, you get a mostly white snake, you get a blizzard. Well, I think charcoal and AML are blizzard. Then you add the diffused somewhere in there. You get a very white snake.
Whiteout
Might be right. Yeah. But you're if you're pairing correctly and you're maybe not doing the exact same thing to the exact same thing, you start getting really neat combination clutches.
Mm-hmm.
That's really special. It's really fun. I don't know. I've kind of gone on a tangent on charcoal and pewter because it's like some of my favorite stuff.
And that's what's fun about. So the stuff I got from VMS, if I pair my buff male blood red Miami, and he comes up het for Anery and charcoal, and I pair him to the ultramale pewter het Anery, I'm getting those buff blizzards and whiteouts and all sorts of stuff that I remember looking through. It was like 36 different types of offspring. I was like, and then she's also possibly super buff, so that brings it down a little bit. I was like, okay.
Yeah, man, that buff, like I have that buff AML that's gonna go with that AML mask from Chris. Like I literally, Cox sent me that animal because it was produced by Phelan, and I was like, I think either Chris had that AML mask female. And then I was like, oh, okay, Cox wants to get rid of this buff AML. That'll be perfect for that. I don't know which one came first, but I was like, that's a pair that I specifically bought for each other.
Yeah.
Instead of sort of some of the other stuff I have, like I have it, and I'm like, I don't know when what I'll tie this into down the road, but I have it, and I want to tie it into something. But like I have that honey Tessera, honey Motley pair. Like those were bought for each other. Like I have a few pairs that it was like, okay, like these two are most definitely going together at some point when they're ready, you know. And that buff gene though, like the more I see that and some other stuff, like the more interested I am in playing with that too.
I'm starting to get like half of my, or at least a good portion of my collection has the buff gene in it. So
Buff's really cool.
I have the one blood red male. I have his sister, which is just a standard AML, so an orange AML and buff, but she's het for diffused 100%. And then I'm getting that's a 2021, so I'm actually getting a 2020 from another guy who has he was just selling it. I was like, taking that female, this pairing, want it. And then I got a buff butter Motley.
Okay.
Ooh.
So that's fun. And it's like
that is fun, yeah.
You've seen the like a normal butter Motley where it's got like the maple color on the saddles.
Yeah, butter Motleys are great. Yeah.
Yeah. Adding the buff to that just washes out that maple color. It's still a little bit there, but she's really, really light colored. She's
almost the coloration of a sulfur. Like the color of a sulfur without AML.
It's the color of it. She looks like she could be sulfur, but like just take it and lighten it up.
Okay.
So that's why I want to start taking buff and like working it into caramel and diffuse. So because I mean it's just taking that dominant gene and just plugging it into like nice projects. So I eventually I want to try to put it over into JT stuff with the honey lineage.
Yeah.
So I want to see what that does for like the Hannibal line, just throwing some buff into it and just see what happens.
And that's what that's one of the things I love about corns is just the fact that like you want to just slightly change sort of the saturation of the color. You just plug this in. Like you want to darken up and make the contrast higher on the saddles. You plug this in. Like it's like It's like baking almost. Like there's
Yeah.
recipe. Like you want it a certain way, you just throw in a dash of this, throw in a dash of that. Like
chef, yes.
Yeah.
So I cook for a living, so I was like, this is just cooking. I was like, I love this.
What's neat to hear is you're pretty fresh into this hobby.
I am.
You've obviously done your research, but what's really like I'm saying, what's great to hear is like you've already understood the patience of it, right?
Yes.
Like because none of these things happen quickly. They
No.
take years and years and years and years, but you've already felt a little bit of that, not a little bit, a lot of bit of that reward, right? Like you're like, okay, if I do this, okay, then you have this clutch, and you're like, wow, okay. So a couple, sounds like about 2.5 years in.
Yeah, about.
Yeah, but you've already got things that you're raising up to have initial pairings that you've already said, well, maybe the next time I'm going to do this, and maybe the next time I'm going to carry it on to this. That's
exactly.
Great. There's a planning factor to this for all of us.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that like is constantly like I like to think of it like I'm kind of this weird person that I always have problems just going on in the back of my head where it's just like, especially working in a restaurant because it's just tedious work all day long. I pop in podcasts and I just constantly am thinking about stuff. So I'll be working on problems, be like, well, what if I did this? And, especially listening to a bunch of snake podcasts and them talking about, well, I'm doing this. It's like, oh, what if I did something similar? And with all the research I've done, it's just going in my head like, okay, it's like I could do this. If that doesn't work, try this out, and that gets me this. And 2 years down the line, another thing is, I also have this weird like morality thing attached to it because it's like I will die one day, and I will only get a certain amount of time to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
So it's like I need to do it now. I need to start planning it now and working on it now, or it may never happen, or if it happens, it won't be for years, and then So it's interesting.
We got to be. Oh no!
Oh yes.
Oh wait, I'm still here. Oh, I thought my shit just died. That's my screen went blank, and I was like, this is it. I didn't.
Oh, he's bringing up the Instagram.
Nice. There's something with what you're saying. As somebody, I'm guessing I'm quite a bit older than you, and there is a.
You are old.
I am fucking old. There's a little bit of. What's up?
You said you started breeding in 1998.
My first clutch of day geckos was either 98 or 99, and I have pictures, but my mom didn't put dates on them. I was 14. So.
How old do you think I was in 98?
Also, bro, were you alive in 98? You look really young.
I was. I was born in 94.
Okay, so you're 30. You're 31. Yeah. No, you're not. I'm
almost
dumb.
30.
You're 28. You're 28.
Yeah.
29. Okay. So yeah, my problem, and I got a little bit into this. Don't be in too much of a hurry, right? Because you'll end up having things that are pieces of a puzzle, and sometimes I've kind of found recently, this is kind of for anybody listening, sometimes it's a little easier to buy the puzzle piece complete or buy the puzzle complete. So if you're really wanting to produce something, ask yourself, and I really like mixing the cake together and coming out with my cookie cake that I get with a scuba ice cream. I did line cook stuff. I was actually a head chef at a restaurant for about a year. So I know what you're talking about, having that anxiety, the pressure. I was a lot younger, but you also you find pride in the work that you're doing. You'll start reflecting that to other things. So you're buying ingredients, and sometimes you may find yourself at the end of those ingredients stopping and saying, damn, should I have bought the cake? But then you'll end up like me at going on 38 years old, who bought the ingredients, bought the cake's sister, called JT, bought more shit the next year. And then now I've, it's.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
You make the cake and you buy the cake.
Yeah.
I mean, so this year, JT hatched out a shatter. It was a female, and he's like, oh, if you want it, I'll sell it to you. And I just kept going. And I was like, well, you also hatched out honeys. I was like, they'll all be het cinder. Like I could just save a little bit of money and then raise up this other honey that's half sister, and pair it off, make my own shatters in a couple of years. It's all going to be the same amount of time, but then I'll get the satisfaction of producing out my own shatters instead of just already having a shatter. So I was like, it's, and who knows, probably next year if he, hatches out a shatter and I have the extra money and I still have the honey I get from him, it'll just be like, yeah, I'll buy the shatter. It's fine.
It turns out the right answer is to buy the shatter and the head shatters.
And
just buy them all, and then you can never question yourself. And,
it'll be fine. They raise up and they're healthy, and I can breed them. That's all it is.
And that creates what is for me the funnest thing about it is not only am I creating combinations of things that I love, I also am opening tubs of things that I love.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a snake in my collection that I can think of that I look at and I'm like, you're just a piece of the puzzle, right? Like you're only here. I'm only feeding you because you're a piece of the puzzle. Everything I'm looking at, and I've thinned a lot this year, and it's not because I disliked a lot of the stuff I sent out. Got rid of all the hognose because I don't want to die, and I sent some Slowinski eye to Ryan Cox. Not that I didn't love them, but they didn't. I've got a huge collection of Emery eye that are going to start breeding next year that I've been waiting 3 or 4 years on. Some of them are going on 4 years now, and all of that project is going to start taking shape next year. And dude, 4 years to wait for something. It's a lot of time. Black Pines I produced this year. I started 4 years ago. I didn't even pair them until they were 4 years old. Look at Chondro guys. Look at Justin. 6 years, right? Some of these things just take lychees are 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and then they kill each other, which is like the best feeling.
The biggest kick in the nuts.
Yeah, so it's that value of your work, your time, and then and I don't know. It's all exciting, but it's like patiently exciting, which is
you gotta wear a cup when you start breeding stuff. You gotta be prepared for some kicks in the
credentials.
Go ahead.
Literally the first snake I ever bought, like huge kick in the nuts. I was like, I was like devastated. I was like, I'm gonna keep going. I just gotta see it through to the end. That's what
you grew from that. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You grew from that, and look at where you're at now. So where are you at now? If we've talked about your collection, but how do you keep corn snakes? If I'm a new guy getting into corns, how are you going to tell me how? Not the best way to keep it. How do you keep?
So how do I Are you asking for a specific how do I set them up?
Yeah. How are you setting up a corn snake?
So if I bring home a new corn snake, what I'll do is I have limited space. I'm in a little apartment, so I have the office and then we have the bedroom. The bedroom is quarantine land. I'll bring in a new snake. Yep, bring in a new snake. It'll go in. I have under the tank heat mat that I'll put a little critter keeper or shoebox on. I have I have a bunch of these that I poked holes in.
Oh,
got substrate.
Those are perfect.
Dude,
with the 4 locks.
those gasket boxes are the bomb.
They're the shit.
And they'll go in there on paper towel. They'll get water dish. They'll each get 2 hides. They'll have a hot gradient. So the box will be partly on, especially because when I have the under the tank heat mat to give them supplemental heat, I can dial it in on the thermostat really well. And I can look at their hot side. It'll be 82, 83, 84, whatever with that. They got a bit of an air gap and the heat comes through. Hot hide, cold hide, water dish, some stuff for them to hide around, fake plants, whatever. Bring them in, always on paper towel when they come in new.
You want to see that first poop? You want to see that first
poop? I need to look at it. I'm going to smell it. I got to, dig the paper towel through, look, make sure everything's good. And get them up to handleability, make sure that they're feeding well is pretty much what I'm looking for. I want comfortability and feeding well. So I'll get snakes that will come in and they're just, they don't like me holding them and maybe they're not feeding well. That's fine. I got this actually from Eric. You guys had him on. He had a holdback that he let go. It was a diffused honey. She was just problem feeder. He was like, don't want to deal with it anymore. Bought her. problem feeder. She didn't want to, she's very, very, I had to tease feed her a lot. And it took her a while. Like, I had brought in some other stuff. They graduated to substrate before she did. That's just that's all it is. So I'll tongue feed. I'm looking for good feeding response, making sure they're healthy, making sure they're growing, they're shedding. They're doing everything right when they're trying to shed out. They're going on that hot side. They're seeking that out, missing them down, looking for good, clean sheds. Yeah. Then they graduate to substrate and they'll come into the collection. And I have literally I have Exoterras on a garage rack, and I have more of those bins on where all the babies are pretty much right now. And it's every couple days, water changes, spot cleaning, stuff like that. I feed on a certain day, which I know not everybody does. And I feed 7 days. I've heard people say 4 to 5, for smaller. I like to feed 7.
Yeah. I have heard a lot of the 3 days, 4 days, 5 days.
For when they're small, when they're growing up, yeah.
When my first
like fresh hatchlings.
Yeah, I'll try to get them going. But yeah, when I bring a snake in, usually I'm kind of the same way. I feed on the same day, almost always. Vacations kind of mix that up, and work will tear me in half. But
yes,
I'm pretty strict on feeding once a week.
Yeah,
and I don't think there's a problem with that. I don't,
And there was it was funny because I kept feeding on the weekend, and it was really funny to me because I would feed on the weekend, and then I'd be like, well, now I have time off. I can't hold any of my fucking snakes. I said, I fed them all.
Yeah.
It's like, this is stupid. So now I feed during the week, so that by the time they poop out, I'm good. I can hold them. And I was like,
see, for me,
now
it's Sunday
I can
night.
bond with them. Yeah.
See, I feed Sunday night, so I'm like, religiously Sunday night. Yeah. So I'm kind of the same way. I can interact. I can, while you're cleaning, you're interacting, and absolutely.
Exactly. So, and then that's kind of how I do it. And then I don't have. That's where I'm at currently. I haven't had a lot graduate up yet, just because everything's still really small. That's how new my collection is. I have my original Snow that we got. She's been in the same Exoterra since we got her. Like, that's because it was a very big one, but like my Sulfur that escaped, she just never tried to escape from it. I was looking back and I was like, there was 1,000 times she could have just fucking escaped from this. Like, looking back, she could have just gone up the probe or something and just
gone.
She just never did. And she's been amazing. She grew into her tank. I have actually a larger tank for her that she's just still not, like, I see her stretching out. She's just not quite there. So probably in a couple months, I'd say I'm gonna graduate her up, and I got big bins for, everybody's coming up on being yearlings. They'll be fine in that for a little while. Everybody's, and another thing is, like, I actually ran out of room in, like, heat mats. So I have up at the top here, I have in all these bins, everybody has a thermostat and heat mat.
Wow.
And it's gradient. Nice. But then I have over here, I just have a bunch of them. So that's actually, like, in the middle of them, I have them on hot sides, and then I will go through and just rotate around. So everybody gets a little bit of time on that heat mat to, like, heat up for themselves. And I mean, I keep this place hot. Like, this is ambient temperatures in the 80s right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like really, my ambience around 78 in my room.
Yeah.
And I've never had a
79.
My quarantine stays between 78 and 80, and I've never even given them heat beyond that, just for quarantine. I've never experienced. So, do you plan on? So obviously you got a lot of snakes growing up. You're planning.
Yes.
Is it going to be display for everything, or are you going to integrate some tubs in there? Maybe a rack.
There'll be tubs. There'll be rack systems. Definitely. There'll be. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to get tubs for hatchlings. I'm going to get tubs for. Or I'll have rack system for hatchling, rack system for some of the holdbacks, and then I'll probably have, depending on if we can get into a bigger place, get a house, I'll probably have display cages for, a good bit of them. And then I know, like, the idiosyncrasies of most of these snakes. Like, it's, my wife is like, I don't understand like how in sync I am with the snake.
Yeah.
She's like, and even she's starting to get to it too. She's like, haven't seen this one in a while. Is it in shed right now? And I'd be like, yep, it's in shed. Good job, babe. I was like, brownie
That's
points
awesome.
for you. And she's on it. She loves them just as much as I do. I can tell.
That's awesome. There's I will tell you right now, anybody out there buying racks, and if you're buying racks, I wish I would have known this before. I know it now. 30% rule. Buy a rack for 30% more than what you have.
Yes.
Because either stuff is going to grow into it, or you're going to buy more, and you're going to be like, damn, I need another rack.
Well,
Yeah.
shameless plug. Okay.
BlackBox cages.
Here's the thing. You get an XR20 or an XR16, you only have to buy one rack because you can use 3 size tubs in the same rack. You just swap them out as the snake grows. So instead of spending a ton of money on another rack, you pretty much just have to buy those other tubs, which is a hell of a lot cheaper than an entire new unit, which I don't know. I think that's a pretty big deal because it sucks when, especially with colubrids, when you buy a hatchling rack and then in no time they've all outgrown those tubs and you're like, well, now I got to upgrade them to something bigger and now you have to buy another rack, which I guess isn't a horrible thing either if you're planning on expanding anyways. Like you're getting more snakes regardless, but the ability to buy one rack and just be able to upgrade things as needed.
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal.
Does that rack do the V15, the V18, and the V35S?
Yes.
That is a perfect 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year for corn snakes. And that's actually what I use completely in my collection.
Yeah.
I use V15.
I just have 35s in mine. In my XR20, I went ahead and just did all 35s because pretty much everything I had at the time was yearling-ish. You know, where it was like, okay, it might be it's going to be spacious, but they're going to grow into that in no time. But I without a doubt want to get rid of pretty much all the other racks I have that are for hatchlings and stuff like that and swap them all out with the XR20s, which the XR20 and the XR16 are pretty much the same rack. There's just more slots. So
nice. Yeah, that's a great, sounds like a perfect product for progression of animals if you're going to be doing racks. I mean, I what makes me love racks so much is you can regulate the whole damn thing at once.
Well, see, the XR20 has 2 zones. So if you need the bottom part to be warmer and the top part to be cooler, which I guess you would do the opposite, but you have the ability to do 2 zones to where if, like I was keeping the stuff that doesn't need heat cooler in the same rack, I can just not have them plugged in on the bottom and then have them plugged in on the top. So
in the future with my corn snakes, I really hope to be able to get my females to 82 degrees and keep my males 78 to 80. Just kind of looking at some data and some research that some of the older guys have done, keeping your males a little cooler kind of excites sperm development a little better, supposedly. I'm not a scientist. In fact, I'm pretty much the opposite. But, you know, it's so I would love to be able to do that in a dual zone setup. So that sounds, if you're doing V35s, which is great for a 3 year to 4 year corn snake, they get bigger. Hey, I want to say a little story.
That's when you just do you get the V70s. You get the tall rack with the V70s.
Or the V28s. I believe they make a rack for the V28s, which is the size between a V70 and a V35 or a V35S. The 28s are what I keep a lot of my stuff in. I love it. Huge shout out to Matt Trevino. He came over last weekend, had me sex a corn snake as a female caramel. She's gorgeous. Should have taken pictures. I believe this corn snake was inching on 5.5 foot. It was the biggest corn snake I've ever seen in my life. It was bigger than my proven female bull snake. So yeah, huge shout out to Matt. He got it from a buddy that gave him a corn snake that was 6, 7 years old, and I've never seen a corn snake that big. It wasn't even fat. It wasn't even like
Those
I looked
are
at
the
it. I
ones
was like,
have the clutches of like 50.
Yeah, I was like, this is one of those snakes that people talk about. And he was like, yeah, I put my male caramel with her. I should have taken a picture, and he looked like a flipping worm.
It's like how breed hog noses.
I was like, he might still want to breed her. I mean, throw her on the table. Let's see what's up. And he didn't have any interest. I understand. You know, he's probably tired. But, dude, this is the biggest corn snake I have ever seen in my life. I mean, many years in. Monster. But hopefully we're going to breed her next year. I want to get a clutch of like 100 eggs. I'm going to set a record.
Oh, gosh.
Dude, but yeah.
Dude, those Miami caramels, though, that I have from you, like, that's one of those ones you're talking about, opening tubs and just sort of getting excited. Like every time I open the tubs and look at those things, I'm like, holy shit,
dude. Wait, I'm gonna send you some of the. So it's the JMG Coral Ghost to Ultramel Motley Tetra. Oh, sorry, Ultramel Stripe Tetra, and I got some of the Ultramel. Anyway, some of the mix and match of the Red Factor and Stripe and Ghost stuff in there. Oh, dude, you're gonna see some of these things that blew my mind. I'm just gonna send them to you. You just ooh,
it's just one of those things. Like, man, I don't like. I know I've said it before, but like the simpler, the better for me. Is just those caramel Miamis. They're just they're coloring up already. Like,
yeah.
After those first sheds, like when they came to me,
sheds, dude.
Like they were dark, and I was like, yeah, it's like they're nice. And then they shed the first time when I had them. I was like, oh my god.
That the caramel diffused I held back is stunning. He is killer.
Yeah, and that caramel cinder is only getting like that was another one where I was like, yeah, it's nice, and then it shed, and I was like, oh.
See, I have the caramel cinder I got from JT in 2020 last year. It's a yearling now, and she's just like, it's so weird. Some of these snakes you can't take pictures of, and Alex, I'm sure you're starting to understand that, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't care what I do. I cannot take a picture of this snake and have it look like what it actually looks like in real life.
Yes.
That's how that Castagna Motley is. Like I cannot get what I see and what my camera picks up are two different things, and it's like it's so frustrating because I can't get it right. Otherwise, he just looks like an orange snake when I take a picture. But I'm like,
my snow has a bit of that green in it, and it forever to get a good picture to capture that bit of green. It's tough.
Yeah. But that's, snakes have iridophores and all these neat things in their scales that our eyes do these three-dimensional things with. And as a doctor, I totally understand completely. But yeah, it's you cannot beat. I have never seen an ugly corn snake. I mean, somebody hands you a corn snake in real life, they're just every single one of them is badass.
They're the best. They're the best. Alex. We're on CornStars. This isn't CondraCast.
No, we need the Janai Junction because Pitchioff is Debbie Junction. It would be me and one other guy that bred them this year.
The Pitchioff's pit.
Oh, dude, the Pitchioff's podcast brought to you by Chris Paint Job of Badlands Herpetoculture. But yeah, so you're invested in this. You're starting to buy into your collection. You're starting to, you've felt we're bringing outside of Justin and maybe even Alex. Are there any breeders that really just stand out to you? Are there not necessarily like a shout out, but is there somebody that really an account that you would say, hey,
who catches your attention with what?
Yeah, who motivates you? Who makes you feel like this is where I want to be?
Who doesn't? I mean, I'm still. You got to remember, I'm still so new. So it's like I'm looking at everybody. I'm looking at Don Soderbergh. I'm looking at Carol Huddleston.
Yeah.
Oh, low belly reptiles. Yeah.
Dude, she posted her pairings for the year, and then was like, "Here's what the offspring will kind of look like," and I was just like, "What? The Miamis will look like what?"
Her Miami stuff is just crisp. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, there's especially. I like to look at a lot of the people in my area too. Like there's not too many corn snake breeders in my area, but the ones that are, I'm just like, they're producing cool stuff. There's one guy, Adrian's Captive Creations. He is, he's just, the last time I was at a show, I couldn't even get near him. He was just mobbed. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was his birthday the other day. I was like, hey, Adrian, and then I just walked away. I was like, I'll talk to you later, I guess. Like, I mean, my friends over at Rock Creek Corns, they have a lot of stuff they're getting. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, they are on Instagram, right?
Yeah, have you ever flipped through their Instagram?
I'm pretty sure I already follow them.
High end stuff he's getting. He got this year. He got. I mean, who was that? This year or last year? He got a scaleless Anery Palmetto produced by Bud Foltz, I think it was.
Okay.
And that thing, I mean, Palmettos, scaleless, I'm like this, but it's a great looking snake.
So with the scaleless and the palmetto, you're kind of on the fence.
Yeah, for the most part, scaleless I could really give or take. Palmettos, certain palmettos I look at and I see I'm like, this is cool.
Sure.
Like,
yeah, they're badass. I mean,
yeah.
there's nothing. Yeah.
But again, still a little bit pricey for me. I don't have any in my collection yet. I will.
Yeah.
And I'll probably like of the projects that I work, that won't be like my main focus. That'll just be a project that I have. I'm not going to devote all my time to it, but I feel like there's other stuff that I could really focus and dial in and line breed. There was actually there was an Instagram account that there's this one snake that I keep dreaming about right now. It was a Boot Keys locality corn on Tano Exotics, I think it is. I saw that thing. I was like, I need that. And he's looking to get more from the locality.
Yeah.
And the minute that happens, I'm like, you're gonna send some to me, right? I need them.
The coolest thing about localities is you can take your localities, you can work your locality project, and then boom, you get to plug it into another project.
Yeah.
And
that's
like
what
we
I'm
said,
excited for.
We've got that time. We're going to be patient with it. And what? Oh man, it's that excitement's already rolling in me. What things are we going to cook up from that? It's me and Justin with the Ladies Island stuff, talking about these Boot Keys locality. I mean, how cool is that, right? I mean,
and like looking back to, so it's weird because I'm coming into this, you know, I feel like the new kid in the game. Like,
yeah,
I'm coming through and I'm hearing all these big names. It's like, oh, you know, Kathy Love and all the OKT Hunt Club, and you got Don Soderbergh, and you know, just like Walter Smith. You know, everybody's like, oh, this is from Walter Smith. It's like, I don't know who that is. I've never met the guy. Is he cool? I don't know. But everybody's like, oh, great stuff. I'm like, all right, I understand. Like, I can see his stock, and I'm like, damn it, that's awesome shit.
Every one of these
awesome
guys,
shit that I need it.
Almost every one of these guys is pretty damn cool. It turns out all these people are, you know, you go to work, right?
Yeah.
And you start talking about snakes, and 99% of the people you talk to don't want to hear about it at all.
Literally, I've had people be like, "You bring a snake around here, I'm gonna kill it." I said, "You kill my snake, I'm killing you."
I'll pop your ass. Get him.
I swear to God. And that's you're right. It's nobody wants to hear it from me. Everybody's like, snakes. I'm like, snakes.
Yeah. It's
I mean, Monday, man. Like, I was at work and I was like, you know, it was getting towards the end of the day, and so I'm trying to like sort of get psyched because freaking Pete Call is gonna be at my house. And, you know, I told my boss that we were recording and how you know, it's like, it's going to be a long night because I knew we were going to go late. Like, we were going to be a long show. Like, I knew without a doubt. He's like, why? I was like, oh, we're recording. He's like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, I was like, yeah, it's like pretty much the Michael Jordan of boa breeders.
Yeah, literally.
It's like, which to him, I'm sure, you know, he's probably like, oh, okay, I don't know what that means, but sure. But, you know, to me, it's like, hey, I have Tim Morris, who the fact that I can even call him a friend just blows my mind because Tim Morris is. He's super down to earth, and he's just the coolest, nicest dude ever. And then I had Pete, who I didn't know anything about aside from the name and knowing how involved in boas and stuff. Not even realizing how involved he was with ball pythons originally.
Yeah.
You know,
just herpetoculture in general.
And it's. Then Tim started sort of sending me some of his like credentials and stuff. I'm like, holy crap. And, you know, not knowing what he was like or, you know, who he was or anything like that other than the name, you know, it was like, didn't know what to expect, but did not disappoint.
Yeah. It's, you know, everybody says don't meet your heroes, but then you do, and they're great. It's so funny in this hobby. You meet these guys, these women, these people in this hobby, and they're just fully involved and invested, and they're
just as nerdy as you are.
You cannot do this without loving the snake from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people out there that are in this only for the money or the fame or to get their name out. They found this is their avenue, and those candles will burn quicker than the people the Kathy loves and the people that just love it. You know, me meeting John Laster, who's become one of my very close friends, I just knew it was going to be, oh, this guy's not, I'm not, I've been in this for a long time, but I'm just not at his level. And he's so, and then now my kid calls him Uncle John, right? Like the dude put me on my first Alterna. The guy comes over and we drink beers and we just talk about Star Wars, right? It's not even, we don't even talk about snakes anymore. And it's this beautiful friendship you can create with these people. Alex, meeting you, you don't know us, right? Like we've never met, but instantly, even before this podcast started, we're on that same spectrum of passion for something that usually multiplies into passion for very similar things. We're all kind of cut from similar cloth.
Yeah.
And it's I've talked about it before. I talked about it with Bill on Lizard Brain Radio. I talked about it on other podcasts. We are in a club. The second you start breeding reptiles, the second you start loving reptiles, you get to join this club that is so inclusive, right? Like we want everybody in here.
And once you get to a certain layer of it, I think. So there's like sort of that outer core.
Yeah.
But then you get into like these smaller sort of inner circles, I guess, or like these smaller, more tight-knit communities, and that's when it just fully opens up, and that's when you're in it,
You cut through the crust of the ice cream cake, you know what I mean?
Well, and another thing you were saying about like the passion, like people coming in and finding the passion for reptiles, like just looking at myself, I've listened to all your guys' podcasts of like people being like, from a very young age, I love dinosaurs, and I love reptiles and all this type of stuff. I didn't have any of that. We had a turtle when I was like 10. That was about it. It was my brother's. I didn't do anything with it. I'm 28. I was about 26 when just a corn snake fell into my lap, and here I am now. I got 14 of them.
Yeah.
13, 14 of them.
We're gonna bump those numbers up, Alex. We're gonna get a little higher.
these are rookie numbers. I got stuff coming.
Those are not rookie numbers. I'll tell you right now. 14 is a lot, but it's gonna be more.
It's gonna be a lot more.
That's good.
It's just one of those things where I just keep thinking about it, like, it's not something that can just die because there's gonna be new people coming in, and people can find this passion, from a very young age or from just older in life, like on in the years, and they're like, okay, well, I can do this. This is something I can do.
Yeah.
So
there's plenty of people that got into it, and when they came into like their 40s or even 50s, that they discovered it, and
that's exciting for me.
Yeah,
just like it's putting everybody on like a certain level of just being like, I know as much as you do. Like that's where we're at. Like just coming in, here's what I got. Like, here's what I'm working with. What are you working with? Let's see. Yeah. Let's trade. Let's play off each other with some of the things, some of the projects that we're doing.
Yeah, Justin talking about wanting to plug Ladies Island into a morph, and I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's do that. Maybe next year we'll even try something different. You know what I mean? Let's keep doing that and see where we get, and then maybe we're so much. Social media has opened this door to us so much easier, right? Like, Kathy Love probably was like writing letters to people, right? Yeah. I'm literally, but this is before email, right? Where these people are writing letters about their passion, making phone calls,
sticking Polaroids in here.
Yeah,
send that off.
Yeah. What do you think this is? Do you think I found a different morph? It turns and then years down the road, oh well, it turns out it proved out recessive. How amazing is this?
Sunkissed.
It's like, Sunkissed. I mean, so many of these things have been in the hobby for 20, 30, 40 years, and we're still cracking open doors. Nobody has ever produced a Ladies Island Tessera that I've ever heard of, right?
I jokingly said it's like the rarest locality in the hobby because I think I'm the only person that
Georgia disagrees. Well, but
that's true. The Savannah localities are.
Tell me about the locality. Is there describe it for me?
There's absolutely nothing special about it.
Perfect.
They're right here in my own backyard, and that's why they're special, because they're special to me. But for anybody else seeing it, they're like, yeah, it's a nice looking normal corn, but to me, it's like it's a South Carolina low country corn. It ain't nothing else on the planet like that.
But there's so much more. It's got thick borders. It's got blushing around the borders. It's got a deep mahogany red. It's got this yellow kind of burnt orange base color to it. It's got well-defined checkers. You know what I mean? For me, somebody who doesn't have corn snakes, I look at that and I'm like, wow, that stands out not only because it's different, but it's also gorgeous. It's beautiful. It has values to it that nothing else has.
Yeah, I don't know. See, it's like a 50-50 for me. Like, I understand where people would be like, yeah, locality stuff is kind of bullshit. Like, I get that.
And I'll beat all of them up.
There's the other half that's like I was saying, like, it's from right here in my own backyard. Like, that's why it's cool to me. That's why I love it, is because it's right here from home, you know?
Yeah.
But for the people that are like, localities are just a selling point, like, I kind of get that too. Like, I understand, you know, it's like at the end of the day, it is just a corn snake, you know? But
yeah.
I don't know. I have a very conflicted relationship with the whole locality thing, you know, especially with the Western stuff, like with Texas stuff.
I have an intimate relationship with these localities. I love it. But for me, it's sometimes it's a little more special. I get to go put my hands on those rocks. I get to walk the 3 mile cut. I get to get the shit scared out of me because there was a mountain lion on the 3 mile cut at 2 a.m. and I didn't have my gun in my pocket. I had left it in my truck and I had to run back. And John was pulling up next to me. Chris, why are you running? Laughing at me while I run back to my, you know, is that mountain lion going to attack me? I don't know.
Pick up a rock. Let's find out. Let's go.
This actually happened, but finding an alternate, right, on a cut that an alternate has never been found on, and then, is it from a road that alternate have been found on? Yes. Is it a half a mile from a cut that one has been found on? Yes, but one's never been documented from that cut, and I assure you, it's different. There's little things that are different. So for me, the locality feels a little more special, but I think it's the same thing with corn snakes. The corn snakes in your county are going to be a little different than the county over.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't love locality stuff. Yeah. I love seeing where different corns come from and what they look like. Same thing with the chain kings. Like I my days of dealing with chain kings are over, but I do still love seeing the different localities of chain kings.
Yeah.
Localities of anything. I like seeing the variation and stuff. It doesn't matter what it is. I just find that interesting. You know, even the ball pythons that Kaufman was showing on his videos, like, that's really cool that you can actually see a difference in the 3 different countries. Like, you can visibly tell a difference. Like, there is variation between them, and they're not all just chocolate brown and black. You know, I don't know.
Yeah,
I like that kind of stuff.
There's
a magic in the simplicity of it. There's a wholesomeness to it.
There is that. You're right. That is a perfect way to say it. There's a wholesome to the simplicity of it. Yeah. There's a trueness, like this value.
Like, there's just nothing special. It just is a nice Mother Nature made animal.
Yeah. So if we're looking at the future, Alex, you know, you've talked about a little bit what you want to stack your deck with and what you're working on. Do you see any morphs that maybe you're not working with that you think are just going to take off?
Ones that I think are going to take off, that I'm unsure of. You know, I see a lot of different variety that people are working with. I wish that there was more people working with, like, Castani, that, like, I wish I would see it more. I wish I would see buff more too.
Yeah.
Like, I go in the morph market and I'm just like, okay,
I want to put those together. I was just thinking about that earlier.
It's a snow. It's like, okay, it's another snow. It's like, all right, salmon snow. All right, great.
Yeah.
I just wish I would see buff a little bit more. And there was actually, I was going through the vivarium and I saw the AML lava terrazzo that was produced like a couple years back with I think it was Don Soderbergh, and I just saw that and I was like, God, all right, I gained a little bit of respect for that. Like, do I want to start working with terrazzo? Maybe.
Terrazzo is one of those ones on my radar where I'm like, yeah, I kind of want some terrazzo.
Kind of want to get to it.
It's kind of neat.
Need to talk to Eric about these castañas because we talked about them the other day. But
Castaña's cool. VMS had for a long time and this is one of my multiple regrets in life. They had Castagna Terrazzo diffused, and then they had a whole bunch that were iterations of that. They were either diffused het Terrazzo, Castagna, and they got them down to the point to where they were selling them like cheap. They were a year old, 2 year old, and I was like, I'm gonna buy these.
I was like at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, and I was
collecting dust.
Hell, they might even still. Well, I guess VMS is now closed, right?
Yeah,
I think they're done.
They were. I mean, I should have bought them, and I
didn't have a lot left last time I looked.
I sent something to you, Justin. I was like, should I buy these? And you're like, yeah, buy them. And they were pricey, right? They were $400, I think. They were up there, and it's because they're morphs that not everybody's working with, and that combination people aren't working with. And I was like, damn, that's really cool. What is that going to look like as an adult, right? Because it washes a lot of it out. The Terrazzo kind of messes it up. The Castagna, and I don't think they sold well because they were, as babies, they're not exceptionally exciting, right? There's nothing. They're obviously they have a weird pattern. They kind of almost look patternless. There's weird things. But now looking back on that retrospectively, I'm like, wow, I should have bought those because that's not going to exist for anybody unless they decide to put those combos together. Because I don't even know what happened to those things. And I'd never seen that before. I'm sure they were world first, right? Or they maybe produced the first ones, and because it's things that aren't on people's radar. And like you said, Alex, a lot of snow. We see a lot of Okiti stuff. We see a lot of Anery.
Yeah.
We see these things are all amazing. And I talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
I love those base early genetics, but I also think people buy them because they're comfortable with them. I know what an Anery is going to look like. I know
what to expect. Yeah. There's less room for surprises.
Yeah,
I guess. Or
exactly.
Hitches.
I think at this point, what it's going to be is, well, another thing is, I've heard the minute I got into this hobby, people just go, produce what you like. So that's
exactly.
I've taken that to heart, where it's just been like, I haven't really tried to go for super high end stuff. It's just been all stuff that I'm like, I know this morph. I understand how it looks. I understand what combos it has. I'm gonna work with this. So I pick animals based on that. If it has something that I can work with, I'm gonna work with it.
Yeah.
And it's getting to that point where there's not a lot that I won't add to. Like, if I tomorrow just gain a huge love for a certain morpher combination, I'm gonna fit it into a project. I'm gonna either make it its own project, or I'm gonna try to fit it into something else.
Yeah.
And just keep working with that and plan it out. It's like, okay, even if I can't make this its own project, I could try to plug it in somewhere where it would make sense.
Sure.
Make some hets and then put them back to each other, and that's all it is. And people that I think are getting into the hobby, just like myself, that I did recently, is it's fun to see how people are planning out their projects. Even some of the breeders that I've talked to, just in this short time I've been here, them being like, hey, look at what I got. Guess what I'm going to be doing with this? It's like, well, I don't know. What are you going to be doing? Plug it into this, make these to see what this looks like. Okay. I don't think I've ever seen one of those. I can't Google it. So yeah, it must not exist. Yeah. I like it. So
that's exactly that. You know what I mean? Take one of these badass caramel Miamis that come from JT or any of the lineage of that. Maybe it's a hunter, and plug it into a ERO. What does that do? You're gonna get butters, right? You're gonna get het butters. You're gonna get multi-het classics, right? We call them classics or normals or whatever. But where does that project go 3 years from now, right?
Exactly.
Where does that sit 6 years from now when you kept the best ones? Where does that sit 9 years from now? And I say 3 years like it's always going to be 3 years. It's not. Like we hope for it to be 3 years, but it's not. It's not always guaranteed you're breeding in 3 years. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 5. But we sit here 9 years, 14 years, 15 years down the road, and we say, okay, what does that look like? And now we've taken line breeding, now we've taken morphs, we've combined those two things, and now we that's where your own lines come from. That's where your own ideas come from, your own projects. That's where your name comes from, and it's awesome. It's a really exciting idea.
Yeah, when I was listening to the Dr. Wyman episode, and he was explaining line breeding, I was like, that was another thing that unlocked for me, that I was like, oh yeah, like I got to start thinking about, this is the trait that I want bred out, and I need to hold that back. And like the look of it is just one of the things that I was like, okay, that's what I should, I need to start dialing in on too, and just working that. And where will that project be in 10, 20 years? Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
I look at line breeding. I don't know if you've ever seen how like traditional katanas or samurai swords are actually made, but like they take the steel and they fold it over itself. And they fold it over itself.
Yep.
And they fold it over itself, and they do that until they have, a perfect piece of
combination
art, more or
of
less.
different metals, different things.
And so, like, I look at line breeding like that, and it's not a fast process. It's not the stamped steel samurai swords that you see at the flea market.
Mm-hmm.
I look at like the Ladies Island stuff, whether it was tied into a morph or just the pure stuff. Like that's how I view that project as moving forward. Like, it's patience, it's continual refinement, it's continual sort of focus and choice. And that's what anything line breeding related. Like, when I want to do something where I want to line breed, like I view it in that way of the folding and the folding and the folding,
absolutely,
and the hammering and the extending and the folding.
So when you're talking about your Ladies Islands corns, and you're talking about throwing Tessera into it, and you're saying you're going to start line breeding it, what are you looking for holdbacks on that? Like,
pretty much if it's a Tessera, I'm holding on to it.
But are you then at a point when you've had that pairing for, let's say, 3 years in a row, and you're creating all these Lady Islands Tesseras, and you just have a bunch of them, are you going to start looking like, well, this one, the Tessera is really fine on it. I'm going to keep that one back. It's like, this one's a little sloppy, I can get rid of that one. Is that what you're looking for? And do you plan on doing more than just like, plugging Ladies Island into everything? Like, what are you like, I want to put it to this to get this?
I'm definitely curious to put it in with other stuff.
What's like the biggest other one you're interested in? Like recessive
Castagna, because I'm on such a hardcore Castagna kick right now. I want more of those. I want to pursue those. As far as the Tessera stuff goes, I really don't know exactly where I want to go with that. Likely they'll get tied back into Ladies Island stuff down the road. Like I said, all the Tesseras are going to be holdbacks. A couple are going to go to Chris, and then I think one holdback that's just one of the normals that came out of that. Just had really good color to it. And then as far as like the pure Ladies Island stuff, if I can get a male up to size from last year, which is probably a stretch, I'm going to try and pair him back to Mom. Don't know if that's going to happen or not. I don't like to bank on things as going to happen. Like, that's my hope that maybe I can get that to happen. If it doesn't, whatever, I'll figure something else out. Likely do a repeat pairing or something. But that's another one where it's like, holdback wise, I don't want to hold on to a lot. I think I held on to 2.2 with that first clutch last year. Ended up giving one of the males to my friend. My buddy had a friend who had a daughter who wanted a snake, and so I gave him one of those corns, one of those Ladies Islands. So now I have 1.2. Jake has some from that last year as well. He's got what was supposed to be a pair, but it's 2 males. He just got 2 females from this year's pairing. And then, that one, it's mostly just, I really want to see what happens when progeny goes back to mom or dad, and just that folding, that obviously if I get to the point where I start seeing detrimental issues or something, then there's going to be a map change.
Yeah.
But currently, I want to pursue that and see what happens if that just continually gets sort of refined and plugged back into one another. And the morph stuff is just a fun sort of side thing, you know. Like the F1 pure stuff is going to be, you know, top priority. The other stuff getting plugged into the morphs is just like side stuff. So like, okay, I have this male Castagna that's a motley as well. Like I have a female that I don't have plans for. Put them together, hold back, you know, 2.2 or whatever of those, get, you know, part with the rest, and then continue sort of doing that same thing. But it's that, and then like I said, the honey stuff, that A-male pair. There's just other odds and ends. I mean, I have that one anery female from JT. I have no idea what I'm going to do with her yet, but she's still got another 2 years probably before she's even going to be ready. So that's one of those things where like I like to think about what I might do. A lot can change between now and then, so I don't try to put too much. Don't get my hopes too high, and that's the case with everything. Like with chondros and all that, it's like I'd love to breed them later this year. I don't think it's going to happen. If the time comes and I'm like, okay, I think they're ready, then I'll do it. If not, it's like, okay, then we're waiting another year. It's like it sucks, but it is what it is. And I see a lot of people sort of come into the hobby and they speak in absolutes of like, this is going to happen in the next 5 years. And it's like a lot can happen. Not even stuff related to the animals themselves, but life happens. Life gets in the way.
Oh yeah.
People get sick. Bills happen. Accidents happen. Animals die.
Animals die.
House fires, emergencies, things happen, you know, especially if you have a family, you know, you got maybe parents that you're taking care of, you got a wife, you got a kid, like these things, there are things that will pop up, especially in the span of several years. Like it's going to happen. Something is going to happen. So when I go into sort of starting a project, when I'm starting with younger animals, it's that thing of like, okay, this is where I think I want to go within this certain time frame. And then keep that goal in mind as I'm sort of progressing and stuff with the project. But knowing that that there's a very good chance something could change. I could fall out of love with a morph in particular or a color combination that I'm just, you know, maybe I liked for a while, and then after a while I was like, you know, this isn't really what I want to focus on. I should just get more honeys, which is going to be the case for pretty much everything because honey's awesome.
Yeah, honey's great.
You know, like it's the same. Everyone goes through these sort of trial periods with different stuff, like the thorn scrubs. You know, I got those from Chris. They're cool. I kind of hate them, mostly because of their personality. But other than that, they are pretty snakes. You know, I bred them. I got the eggs. Maybe they'll hatch. Hopefully they will, and then it'll be cool. And like I'm parting with the adults.
Yeah,
you know,
but wild caught thorn scrubs are not always the best.
I had them. They're cool. They're just not really my thing. Same thing happened with. There's been a couple other species where I was like, you know, there's like hog noses. I had a pair of hog noses. Those were cool. And then Loafman was like, I need more hogs for a study. And I was like, hey, I got these two. I don't like. They're just here. I enjoyed them. It's just one of those things where it's like I can either have this and like it, or I could get rid of them, have more space for stuff that I really want to pursue. So that's when it comes to that crossroads of like parting with stuff or moving on from certain projects or whatever. It's like, would I rather do that or would I rather have this?
Right.
You know, would I rather have a bunch of random bears
project or
would I rather have a bunch of Loma Altas?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's just, you just gotta think about that kind of thing. It's people, I think, feel some sort of pressure from social media or friends or something that if they get a project, they have to stick with it and they cannot get rid of it.
There was even just, I think it was yesterday, I started thinking about, you know, I like to do this thing where because I can't breed much of anything yet, what works together, what gets me the most of like hitting combinations. And then I kept going, well, what are some of the ones that if I were to pair them don't get me anything but normals with a shit ton of heads?
Yeah,
and that was fun too. That was just like, I mean, I was looking at one. I was like, this might get me like 6 or 7 hets in there of just nice stuff.
Hets that you even know of.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean,
looking at hidden heads.
There's always hidden heads.
That's why, man. I've
That's
talked about
exciting.
it. Like I've always thought that it would be just a lot of fun to get a pair of PetSmart corns, some fancy corns, breed them and see what comes out. Like just for the hell of it. Like that would be fun. That would be a blast.
That's what gets me excited about the first snow that we ever got. Pretty sure she came from Petco. What's going on with her? Who knows what she has?
Dude, no idea. Yeah.
No idea. So I have like everything that's coming from breeders, and it's like, you know, this morph het this or possibly het these, and then I just go snow, unknown, a bunch of stuff probably.
Yeah.
So I think that's partially like the chondro factor for me with coming into corns, not knowing what you're gonna get, like what's gonna come out of those eggs.
The thing about
what it's
going to
turn into, you know.
The thing about those Lady Islands this year is I produced Tessera's for 3 years, and those are some badass Tessera's. those are a little different looking. They're definitely not a typical Tessera, and it's like so cool. It's like first generation we get to see the production of what we've put together, and they do not look like. I've seen plenty of normal or classic Tesseras, and those are different, man. So now what do we do when we take one of those Tesseras and pair it back to another Tessera? We know we're going to get hypos. We know we're going to get aneries. We might get some ghosts, but we're going to get Tesseras. And now we're compounding on that. Are they all going to come out weird looking like that, where it doesn't have that perfectly defined stripe, where it has that crazy definition on the side?
Dude, towards the tail, they look like jersey mesh.
Yeah.
Like sports jerseys, they have like this weird, tiny like holes, but they're in lines. And I'll have to try and get a picture of it because there's at least 2 or 3 of them that sort of have that going on. I think it's really cool because it also like it's that gray base.
Yeah.
Like the front has a ton of orange, and then towards the back it's like a gray base and stuff.
I love that we saw that in the first generation too. That's so cool.
It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. But
yeah,
those aren't going anywhere. I think we only ended up with like 2 males, maybe. I have to double check because someone had messaged me at some point. I need to go back and look through my inbox about wanting a male from that Tessera group, and I told him if I had any extras, you know, I'd probably be willing to part with one, but I have to go back and look at ratios.
Ladies Island?
Yeah, so that was my Ladies Island male, one of the Ladies Island males to the Anery Tessera from Chris.
Ghost Tessera.
Okay.
Ghost Tessera.
Ghost Tessera, okay. Oh, nice.
And she's for sure not het AML. So as far as I can tell, she is only a Ghost Tessera.
Okay,
but there's so many. She doesn't have stripes. She doesn't have motley. She doesn't have AML. So she's pretty bred there. But that doesn't mean anything. There could be so many other genes there. So you got the corns. You got the collection growing. You got the room. You've got the plan for the future.
Yep.
Any other species you're interested in? Is there anything else outside of corns you're adding? I mean, obviously Pituophis, but go ahead.
Rhinos, obviously rhinos.
No, currently I don't have any other plans for much of anything. I might get some gray bandits.
Yeah.
In the future. I might.
Yeah.
Every time I look at them, I'm like, I don't want to love you, and it's just like,
dude, they're
so
fun
badass.
snakes.
They're so badass.
Babies are not fun, but
one question I have, because I hear you guys talk about it all the time, is there's the Alterna, and then there's Blair phase.
So there's Blair's phase, yeah. So
what's the difference?
It's not real.
No. Those are the phases, and they're definitely real.
They exist, but
no, because
I produce an official thing. I don't.
No, they're very official. So originally, Alterna were broken down into 2 different species. There was Lampropeltis alterna, and then Lampropeltis alterna blairdi.
Yes.
The easternmost range, which is going to start around 277, which is going to be north of Del Rio, produces, and then you get
Valverde,
into the Valverde, the Loma Alta area. Sanderson is the middle of the range in Texas. It goes much more south into Mexico. We're not going to worry about the Mexican localities because that's when stuff starts getting real weird.
Yeah.
But right in the center is Sanderson. So Sanderson produces Blair's phase and Alterna phase. But if you go east, you're going to get mostly Blair's phase. There are occasions where there's others. Blair's have the long, big orange blotches.
Got it.
And then Alterna phase is where you have more alternates.
Yeah.
So the alternate that they call with Alterna is between the blotches, you have the markings in between. Those are the alternates. And so you hear people talk about triple alternates. That's when in between the orange, you have multiple black spotches. And then alternaphase usually have much thinner orange or no orange at all. So I produced some this year that don't have any orange. In the same clutch, because I took an alternaphase male, I paired it to a Blair's phase female, both Sanderson locality, 3 Mile West. This is specifically a cut. So with it's gray banded guys, we get a little nuts, and it is cut specific.
You're probably producing a new Alterna guy right here, so keep talking.
No, it's
keep
good.
talking.
It's good. So I've walked that cut. It's about a quarter of a mile long. No, actually, it's about a mile long. It's beautiful. But that cut has only produced a handful of snakes. I have a wild caught. I have some F1s. Stu Tennyson has some wild caughts. But it produces Blair's phase, and I have Blair's phase from that cut, and then I have mostly an alternaphase males. So I'll get a clutch between that alternaphase male to a Blair's phase female. I'll get Alternas and I'll get Blair's, which is really cool. Every single baby, it's like a fingerprint. Every single one is different. You will never get two babies that are identical.
Okay.
Now, Blair's to Blair's, you're going to get all Blair's. Alterna, you're going to get all Alterna. Most of the time. There's always exceptions because they are an alternate snake. But I say alternate snake. That's probably the dumbest thing I've ever said. Justin, edit that out. But
I won't.
But it's I won't. But it is really interesting. Now, if you just want gray bandeds and you're not worried about locality, that's no problem. Get something that's
more orange the better.
The more orange the better. Some people think that's the more Blair's phase.
I gotta say, to me, gray bands, they gotta be that Blair's, man. They gotta have that orange. Like the ones favorite. I know there's a lot of people that like the ones that are just like the pinstripes with just the grays and the blacks. Like
I like
those
that
are
orange
cool.
in there.
But I gotta have. If I'm having Alterna, I gotta have that fucking orange.
See, my favorite Alterna are the Boy Scout Road, which is up on Highway 17. It's a cut of road that goes up into a Boy Scout camp, and they produce these disgusting brown, dingy, thin pinstripe, and then as those snakes age, the orange blushes out under the pinstriping, and it's so weird looking, and it seeps out, and it's such a cool looking animal. For me, that's what really I really like. That's not true because I have some 277 stuff that's the orange and that light gray that'll just blow your mind. But then I've got go more east. It's
Christmas Mountain stuff is like the best of both worlds in my opinion.
Yeah, the Christmas Mountain stuff. Now the Christmas Mountain stuff has this bright orange, this light gray, and then it blows out all this speckling all over the snake. It has
odd.
Yeah, I got those Christmas Mountains from you, actually, Justin. From your dad.
No, those were nice. Believe me, that was.
Dude, those are
all the freaking Theri, man. It was like, damn it.
I fucked up so bad this year. I had a missext, and I sent John my female to brewmate and breed when he needed a male. So my
Mountains,
male.
Or are you talking about the Theri?
The Christmas Mountains.
Oh.
So he was looking for a male Christmas Mountains, and those are from Captain. Ron, man, I'm not gonna say the name, and it's just slipping my mind. But those have tenure on their lineage. So I sent him my male so that he could brewmate him and breed him to all. He has multiple females, and then my dumbass, I had sexed them when I thrown them in the tubs. They were actually missexed when you sent them to me, Justin. This is all your fault. But so it turns out I sent him my female, and she ovulated obviously after brumation. But yeah, so the male stayed here. He's twice the size of the female now because I thought it was the female. I was like, feed.
Nothing but feeding him.
So he'll be ready to breed next year. She's ready to breed now, anyways. But no, gray bandeds are these neat.
They are awesome snakes,
dude. They have these.
They're fun. They're
they
enjoyable
have personality.
to keep.
The little toad heads. They're small. They're smaller than a
not like California. They're not like
really?
the Methpropeltis complex that just wants to eat everything. Like. That's why I like them the most. Is I could handle them and not have to worry about them just deciding they want to eat my hand.
And then once they eat, they're
good.
The best snake you could have.
Yep.
The second they eat, it's the best snake you could ever have.
That's what I was telling them earlier before we started. I was like, that's why rhinos are awesome too, because rhinos are the same way. It's like babies they require work, but man, once they are on, same with chondros. Like once they're on, it's all downhill from there. You're golden.
Yeah. I produced 6 gray bandeds last year. It took a little bit to get a meeting. I'm not saying that they did not take frozen thawed off of tongs right out of the egg. You know what I mean? But once I got a meeting, I only had one that was a holdout. I brumated it, took it out of brumation. Boom. She was eating. I'm sorry, he was eating perfect. That went to Hardin County Herbs. I forget the gentleman's name.
Oh,
right
Trace.
Now. Trace, yeah.
Yeah.
He has that male, gorgeous Blair's face boy. But if you're looking to get into other species, the Mexicana complex kings have something I've become just enamored with. I don't even want to say it out loud, but I've got a lot of gray bands, a lot of Leonis.
No, wait, that's not Trace. I'm sorry.
Is it not Trace Harden?
Trace Harden is. It's not. That's not his.
I feel so bad. I just talked with him today. I talked to him today, and I feel like a dirtbag for not saying his name. Oh, and now I have to look it up. Oh my gosh! I just looked up his Instagram page, and his name's on his Instagram page. Hardin County Herbs, younger guy, getting into a lot of locality rat stuff. But yeah, anyways. Yeah, gray bands are a great place to be. I would highly suggest getting something that's eating well. If you're interested in the locality thing, do it. If you're not, just get the best looking snakes you can find. Get the coolest looking ones. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's they really are fun. They parallel corn snakes well in the sense that they're very temperature tolerant. They find them in the 50s, dude. They find these things on rocks in the 50s. David, yeah, that's right. Yep, David Oswalt. That's right. That's my fault. But yeah, gray bands are great. Any of the Mexicana complex kings are great. Not that California king snakes aren't. They're fun. They're beautiful. But anything else? Is there anything else on your radar?
No, currently.
Nope.
Currently, that's it. Well, and you gotta remember, I'm still pretty young at it, so I'm trying to see where my taste develop. Right now, it's pretty much all corns. That ball python I have is just freelighter, and then the more I listen to more snake podcasts, the more I learn.
Tough.
It seriously is.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean,
a good thing.
I sit there and hear you guys talking about different snakes, and I'm like, all right, Google. I was like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying.
Yeah.
Saying words I don't know. It's like, oh, okay.
It's like, for me, I'm regulated in my city. I can't have boas, pythons, or venomous. Not that I would keep venomous, but yeah, it's tough for me because there has actually become a species that's been on my radar for about a year and a half. That's a python that I've kind of decided that's the python that I would love to have. And I can't. No, though I would love to have a chondro. I think if I could have any kind of python, I'd like to have a blackhead. They seem pretty amazing.
Oh.
They seem right up my alley. They seem like the big 6, 7, 8 foot Pituophis of the python world. So I don't know. I'll never have one. They're badass, man.
To me, they seem like that asshole kid that graduated high school but still hung out in the parking lot every day, and everybody got out and like picked on him and shit. Just
Pituophis,
kind of nasty.
Blackheads aren't that bad. At least they don't sound like it. But yes. No,
wait, I'm thinking. What man? I'm
thinking blackhead.
Really struggling. You're saying blackheads. I'm thinking white lips.
Oh no.
No, blackheads are cool.
Blackheads are like the colubrids of Australia, right?
Yep.
They're the big ass colubrids that are non-venomous, that are gorgeous, and they have all this pattern, and they have all these neat snake eating things that they do. They're almost like a dry marcon kind of thing, and so. Anyways,
another one of Australia's weird concoctions of living beings.
Yeah,
one of the many.
They're interesting. It's awesome. They're all awesome. Alex, just get everything. Just keep buying stuff, and just never stop. And then get another room, and then when that room doesn't work like me, just get another room. Just build another room, and just keep going. And
I mean, that's the plan. It's funny to think about. You were saying. That snake is kind of like the bully kids from high school. To me, corn snakes kind of feel like my type of snake. They kind of feel like that nerdy kid who's just like, if you talk to him for 5 minutes, he has all these different things he's doing that you just don't understand.
Yep.
Like,
but how many people walked by that table and didn't look at that snake? How many people walked by that table and didn't talk to that kid? Yeah. I mean, as a Magic the Gathering, World of Warcraft, Warhammer still do all 3 of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what's cool is Blizzard just put in an order for some kazoos.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I have
for the World
Magic
of
the
Warcraft
Gathering cards in front of me on this table.
Those are what I use for
What do I have?
bookmarks everywhere. If I ever need a bookmark, I just open up my
they're all on the
bedside
card.
table, and there's cards in there.
You know, me and my buddy,
Video games and all that stuff.
I'm almost 40, and me and my buddy still do. I don't collect Magic cards anymore, but we buy cards and we do like between me and him, we do drafts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you build your deck. And I'm still 37, going on 38.
It was horrible. Every time I tried draft, I really sucked at it.
Yeah,
It was
I went
horrible at draft.
I went to a few like new pack drafts and just going against people that really are tuned to it, like saw everything come out and know exactly how things play together. I'm like, dude, you're way ahead. Have you ever seen a Magic tournament? Like legit.
Yeah, I used to watch the Pro Tour
Magic
all the
together?
time.
Crazy.
I was super competitive here in Corpus. I used to play all the time. Yeah,
They are
I
crazy.
used to stream the Pro Tours every time one happened.
Yes.
Like,
I was the last time I started watching it was when not the very last time that Innistrad was in, but the before that. And I was like showing my dad, I was like, they're not saying anything to each other. He's like, what? I was like, look at them. They're playing a card.
They all know
what
exactly
looks
what's
like
happening.
It looks upside down. Knows
they don't even
what
have
it
them.
does.
Don't even speak English. Like you got
Dude,
people from
there's-
all over the world that don't even speak English.
They're just like, here's a
and
card.
they know
It's like
exactly
a counter.
what's happening. Yep.
Crazy.
My daughter's name is a planeswalker from Innistrad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I started playing in Exodus just before the Urza block came out, which again is the year y'all were born.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Long
like,
time
dude,
ago.
Magic's been a part of my life forever. I love it. I still love it. It's just,
I got in just after Theros.
oh,
What
so
was
you're
what was the
8 years ago?
what was the block after that?
The Dragon block.
No.
Dragons of Cartier?
The set after that, after Theros, there was
Return to Ravnica.
no.
Talmon Cat? No.
Oh, that actually might have been it because Theros was the God block, and then
Well, there was
Amonkhet and all that.
another set after that had gods that had like Heliod and.
Okay, yeah,
Why
that's
am I,
the Theros
why am I
block, though,
blanking?
yeah.
Yeah, it is, but
yeah.
it was the set after Theros.
Yeah. Set after Theros. I played it. I know I played it because my favorite part of Magic is drafting.
Because I loved Constellation. I was playing Constellation on a ton of stuff, like
the
freaking Eidolon of Blossoms and stuff. Was like that was my freaking jam, dude.
Dude, the Pegasi. There was Pegasus in that block. Yeah, or in that set. Theros. What was it? I don't know.
It was the red themed on the box and stuff.
I know what you're talking about. It's Theros block, but it's not the set you're talking. Oh my god, we're so nerdy. People, anybody still listening? Welcome to my life. What games do you play? You say you like video games. What kind of games do you play?
So I have
Born of the Gods is what it was.
Born of the Gods. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Journey to Nyx was after that.
Yep, that was the third one. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm a super nerd. I've been a nerd my whole life. Star Wars, like when Disney took over Star Wars, I cried because they had all the source material and they're like, yeah, we're not doing anything with that.
It turns out it was the best thing that ever happened.
I read all of that source material. I was like, dude, you're not going to make this into a movie? What are you doing?
Oh, the Timothy Zahn stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even
the Thrawn trilogy, the
further into that,
I Jedi. I Jedi was so good.
And I read all of like the
Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, New Jedi, the Dark Nest trilogy, so good. Like into the New Jedi Order.
We did some proxy Star Wars Magic cards.
Nice.
Just for fun. Me and my buddies.
So, I mean, I'm a huge nerd into Star Wars. I played, Magic the Gathering. I played Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons, baby. Let's go.
I couldn't get into D&D. I tried.
So
I
fun.
couldn't get into it.
So fun.
I get it. I just couldn't. I tried.
And then I added snakes into that, so I just rounded out the power nerd thing. It's like, okay, there's something else I can rant about for about an hour or two.
Yeah, dude, I'm literally right there with you. It sounds like we all did the same thing. Unless you played World of Warcraft too, then we're just the same person.
No, I couldn't get into World of Warcraft. I didn't get into Warhammer 40,000. I remember distinctly
Here's Warhammer terrain. It's also sitting on my gaming table.
My brother and his friend were into Warhammer, and they still play every now and then. I remember we went over to his friend's house, and I had to be the little brother. Like, you know, he was bringing his little brother with him. Within like 30 minutes, I was like, this is boring. When's mom getting here? And he was like, I'm going to fucking kill you. He's like, this game will take 3 hours. I'm like,
yeah.
See, the math and Magic was hard enough. Like when you start pulling out rulers and protractors, and all
or
that
dice
shit,
like
I'm
these
like,
that are sitting
I'm
on my
like,
desk. I have dice all over me.
It's like if I got to have like a measuring stick and shit, I don't know that I want to.
And there's like 16 different factions, and you get the all of those little miniatures for Warhammer are so expensive.
Yeah,
I went to go buy them a gift. I was like, all right, this is like $300. What the hell?
I have actually, you know, I've been playing Warhammer for a long time. I have thousands of models. Thousands. I mean, they take up not only my snake room, my reptile room, gecko room, whatever. I have a whole nother room full of Warhammer models, a whole cupboard full of Warhammer models. There's Warhammer boxes right here. There's boxes of terrain. I've got how. I mean, literally, we could be like, there's Warhammer little. I don't know if you can't see it on the camera, but there's it's so much Warhammer. Everybody get into Warhammer. Just do it. Just start doing it. Painting your little models. I've painted. I love painting.
Yeah, I do that for Dungeons and Dragons. It's fun.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons is great. Oh, it's all good. Anyways, nerd culture is the best. It's the best culture.
I'm glad that it had a renaissance and we don't get shoved into lockers anymore. It's great.
Right? See, I got shoved into lockers for a long time, so I kickboxed for 15 years, so I stopped getting shoved into lockers.
Then by the time he had it all figured out, he graduated and it didn't matter anymore.
Dude, yeah. When I was in college and all this stuff started getting cool, I hate every one of y'all new nerds. All you new nerds, get out of here.
You don't understand the struggles we went through.
It's the moment that you just stop caring.
Yep.
Is when you become your own person. It's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember I think it was like freshman year of college that I was just like, I think I'll just roll with being a nerd.
Yeah.
I think it's okay. I don't need to pretend.
I got so many of my friends into Magic, man. Like some of my like cop buddies that were super jocks in high school and stuff. Like they went all like even after we stopped playing Magic, like they got into D&D, and that's when I tried to get into it, and I couldn't. And they still were all about it. It was so funny watching them just absolutely dive headfirst in all of it.
Oh, and for years I was like, people would be like, "Oh, you're a power nerd. You're probably into Star Wars and Dungeons and Dragons." I was like, I am not into Dungeons and Dragons. I would never lower myself. Then I played Dungeons and Dragons once. I was like, fuck, this is awesome.
Great.
This is so much fun. I love this a lot. Whereas it's been my whole life. So
it's all of these circles share similarities to the reptile circle. We're all nerds in some capacity. And then we all find comfort in people to talk to, and then we find friends and like, you know, this just us talking so comfortably. It's so interesting. Like I said, we find that in this circle we branch out, and there's so many similarities. It's awesome. Special. It's really special.
Well, it's funny too, because our buddy Henry Martinez, who's like keeps king cobras and all kinds of venomous, he too was like a big Magic guy, and like just it's wild.
Yeah, they're everywhere, man. If you like something, you'll find somebody who likes it just as much as you do.
Yeah,
and it's fun to see, like especially in reptiles and corn snakes, especially like in general, just finding other people like I can nerd out with, like, here's what I'm working on, like here's everything that I love, and they're like, I also like that, but here's also what I'm doing. Like
people who get it and get excited too about it is what. Even if it's something simple, you know, locality stuff, like
locality. There's
people that are gonna be pumped for it, and there's people are gonna be like, man, it's a corn snake, but whatever, you know, everyone's got their thing.
Well, it's funny because I show a lot of like my family stuff, and they're like, yep, that's a snake. I don't want to see it, but sure. And like people at work, like I realized that at work I have to like dial it back. It's like,
oh yeah,
even just in general conversation, like going out to dinner with my wife, it's like, all right, we're going out to dinner. We're going to sit down at a restaurant for 1 hour. Can you not talk about a snake? And it's like really hard to do. It's like, because it's all that I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
So it's fun. I find it funny.
It's a good place to be.
It is. So.
Yeah. Well, where can people follow you, man? Like, where can they keep up with what you got going on?
Follow me on Instagram at Keystone Corns. That's pretty much all I got right now. That's only social media. It's where you can find us. I'll be posting updates as things happen.
Awesome. Who you texting,
Thank you guys.
Chris?
Thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Work. Sorry, my work just texted me. I'm texting him back. But
buildings on
Justin?
fire. SOS. Help.
I'm all just pull the plate from the back rack. It's okay.
You got an extinguisher? Pull it out and use it.
It's 300,000 square foot. We got a lot of extinguishers. It's gonna be all right.
Oh, yeah. This was a good one, guys. I really enjoyed
Absolutely. Alex,
Thank
it's great
you.
to meet you. I'm so glad you came on.
Good meeting you guys. Thank you guys so much. This has been fun.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Anytime I can come back, you let me know. Once I'm a little further in the hobby, I'll be back on.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We're just a couple guys that like to hang out and talk snakes, man.
Yeah.
You coming to Daytona?
No, I'm not. Not this year. Next year.
Next year.
Definitely. Next year, it's in my sights. This year,
Hey.
I can't swing it. I've had a lot of expenses on things, and I just can't swing it this year.
This is my first year going to Daytona. I'm very excited.
You guys let me know. Keep me updated on the stories. Let me know what's down there. Let me know what you guys get.
Red Zeppelins. Hopefully.
Red Zeppelins. They are beautiful.
They're so good looking. So pretty.
So nice looking.
American Trumbauer almost always has, I think, a pair of them at the table, like his adults. Even if he doesn't have any for sale, he just has them there with like the story of the morph and stuff. It's just
We'll talk about it on Friday night because I'm gonna need to know like beeline to go get some.
Yeah, we gotta plan your attack. You gotta find out where the tables are that you need to be looking for, and you need to just.
John's coming, so John just told me that him and his wife are driving, so
Really?
John will be there too. So yeah, he'll probably hang out, show you guys how to drink beer because homie can crush me.
All right. Well, this episode was brought to you once again by BlackBoxCages.com. Check them out. And SilentHillReptiles.com. Give them a follow and stay in the loop with what they have going on. We will be back Monday for Snakes and Stogies. Pre-Daytona. We're not going to have an episode on Thursday next week because we will be in Daytona. And I'm sure the following Monday after that, we'll have a recap of all the chaos that ensued over that weekend. So thank you, everybody. We will holler at y'all later.